Good afternoon, people. So, will it be easy? Nope. Worth it? Absolutely. You must be wondering, why did I write this on the board? Because I don't want to give any kind of false hope to everyone who's watching this session. You need to understand, this journey is not going to be easy. But trust me, based on my experience, this is one journey which is worth making. Irrespective of the result, whether you clear or you don't. If you clear, that's a win-win situation. You fulfill the dream of becoming the officer which you wanted to. And even if, God forbid, you don't manage to clear this exam, trust me, if you've been sincere, honest in your efforts, you will turn out to be a rational, aware, and informed person, which will take you to places. So on this note, we will be starting this session where you don't have to fret over the result, where you don't have to panic whether I'll make it or not. You just have to learn that how to make the entire process of this preparation worthy enough. That the day when the result comes, no matter what it is, not for even a second, you will think that what if I would have made more effort? That will be the day when you will be telling yourself, I was 100% honest in every effort which I made, so this result doesn't bother me. Is that very clear? We are here to guide you, to tell you that how to make the most out of your preparation. It's not a journey of 2 months, 3 months. Considerably a very long period of time is required to prepare for this exam. And every step that you make in this process of exam has to come from here. It has to be heartfelt effort. It should not be seen as a burden. It should be seen that you are making that effort with utmost sincerity and honesty, that you should not regret. And trust me, if you've been honest in your preparation, there would not be a single moment when you will be regretting that why did you prepare for this exam. Because this exam makes you so knowledgeable, this exam makes you a better person, this exam tells you that there is a larger life which is waiting for you outside. Abhi tak to all of us are living in our own cocoon. Some are engineers, some are doctors, some are CA, some are MBA, some are graduates, postgraduates in humanities or whatever subjects that you've chosen. You will be stepping out of your cocoon. You will be getting to know about other disciplines. So this is one exam which makes you so aware that you start feeling good about yourself. Oh, is this so? It is. Oh, this is how the finance is working, economy is operating, polity is working. So it gives you that amount of knowledge. You get to know more about your society in which you've been living for so many years without even knowing that how it works. So that gives you a sense of confidence that shapes your personality. So take this examination as a process, as a journey, not as a destination. So on this note, we'll be starting today's session. So I welcome you all. My name is Smriti Shah. I am a faculty of Society, Ethics, Post-Independence, Sociology with Vision IS. I've been associated with Vision IS, I think this is my 9th year, to be precise. Yes, this is my 9th year. So it's been a long association with this institute, and without acting as a advertising agent or a brand ambassador, one thing about this institute is what I have learned personally as a person is how to be committed and how to be honest in every endeavor which you take. And this is what we expect from our students also. So on this note, we will be starting how to prepare Indian society. Is that very clear? Let's have a look at the screen. Okay. See, as far as Indian society is concerned, we all know one thing. I am hoping that we know that it is not a subject which was originally there as a part of UPSC syllabus. It was basically in 2013 when the syllabus underwent a change, and UPSC thought, let us introduce a separate section, and the section would be on Indian society. Now, the thing which actually makes us wonder is, the questions which are asked as a part of society is nothing new. Obviously, the questions on women, tribes, caste, religious minorities, communalism, that have been asked in UPSC since time. So, ऐसा कुछ नहीं था that all of a sudden these new questions have been asked. But despite that, a new dedicated section has been introduced in the syllabus. That means UPSC has raised the bar of its expectation from the aspirants. They are looking for something, है ना? So that is why they asked us to separately prepare for this section. Now see, we will be coming here telling you that what's so important about this section, why you are supposed to prepare. See, the purpose here is to give you the right kind of guidance. You all know that there is something called smart study and there is something called hard study, right? Smart work versus hard work. If you are preparing for this exam, one thing is for sure, we know that you are a hard-working student. Otherwise, not everyone has the courage to prepare for this exam. So take pride in the fact that you have decided to prepare for this exam, because it is a matter of courage. Lot of perseverance, dedication is required to prepare for this exam. So if you have chosen to prepare for this exam, you are already above the rest. Is that clear? So take pride in that matter, that you have taken the decision to prepare for such a coveted examination which requires a lot of dedication. But then your hard work will give you the desired result if you are smart also. Is that clear? So how to make that hard work, convert it into smart work, that is what the mentors are here for. Because based on our experiences, based on the mistakes which we have committed in our life, we want that you should not commit the same mistakes. Chanakya कहता है ना, that learn from the mistakes of others, because you are not going to live long enough to make all those mistakes by yourself. हमारी गलतियों से सीखो यार, तुम नई गलतियां करना, but वो गलतियां मत करो, the one which we have already made. Is that clear? ठीक है. So basically you need to understand how we are going to proceed in today's session is, these are going to be the dimensions of today's session. We'll be starting with why, as in why Indian society needs to be prepared, what is supposed to be prepared in Indian society, and finally how one is supposed to prepare. This is a personal opinion that every section that you cover, and this is what I think previously, yesterday's session also, the faculties have talked about their respective why, what and how, because this is how you can prepare or streamline your entire preparation. Is that clear? So to begin with, why to study Indian society? This is important. Why it is important to understand? Because you need to understand that rationale behind which or based on which UPSC has incorporated this section in your syllabus. The moment you understand the rationale, it would be easy to channelize your preparation in the desired direction. First and foremost, you need to develop a thought process, perspective. You must be thinking कि ये कौन सी नई बात है, ये तो हम करते ही हैं. नहीं करते हो आप लोग. पता क्या होता है यूजुअली, आप क्या, हम में से भी कोई नहीं करता था. प्रॉब्लम क्या होती है, हम पूछते हैं should reservation be there or not? Are you getting the point? How can I tell you? I can tell you the positives of reservation, I can tell you the limitations of reservation. Now, as an aware citizenry, that's your job to decide whether it should be there or not. So your thought process has to be built. I can tell you that which approach, there are different approaches for tribal development. I am not teaching, we are just discussing. I'm just giving you examples. Okay. So, okay, let's take an example which you all must be aware of. Migration. By in backdrop of COVID, everybody has heard about the migration issues. Now, the question can be that should migration be stopped? Because of migration, there is a lot of infrastructure problem which is being created in urban areas. So, I can tell you that what are the arguments in the favor of migration. I can tell you what are the arguments against the concept of migration. But ultimately, what should be the thought process that you will be developing? You should have your own opinion. You should not be influenced by the opinion of others. You should only be influenced by the arguments, and based on arguments, you should arrive at your own thought process. The more you are open, transparent, and honest about your thought process, the better it would be reflected in your answer writing. Once you develop a thought process, the second important thing is that you should be aware about all the nuances of Indian society. Whether it is caste, whether it is tribal, whether it is women, whether it is minority, migration, secularism, everything. You should have the clarity about each and every aspect of Indian society. And once you have the clarity, then obviously when you are writing the examination, you are writing the examination from the point of view that tomorrow you are going to be an administrator. So being an administrator, you should have the personality of problem solving. So given the social problems, you should always come up with the rational and practical solutions to eradicate that problem. Simple. Look at the screen again. if you look at the three terms which has been written here, to develop the perspective on Indian social system, to sensitize the governments on the discourses of society, and to apply the best practices of governance in the eradication of social problem. You must be wondering, why did we mention that? Now look at these 3 points again and tell me, isn't it the structure of most of your answers? The introduction talks about the perspective. The body of your answer talks about the problems or the current reality, and the conclusion talks about the solution. Why am I telling you this? Is that from the next time, whenever you are reading the newspaper, whenever you read any problem, for example, let us talk about migration, since it's there. If I would have been in your place, the perspective I would have with respect to migration is that it's not about negative or positive, or whether migration is the root cause of many problems. Migration is an organic phenomena which is bound to happen. And you have the constitutional right also under Article 19 to migrate. Obviously, there are certain reasonable restrictions, but despite that, you have the right to migrate to any which part of the country, barring the restricted areas. So the point here is that migration is your right. I am just giving you an example to justify how to prepare. So migration is your right. It is a phenomena which is bound to happen, right? So now the second thing that you have to, this is the perspective, that you will never say that migration needs to be stopped. No. Migration is a phenomena. It's a process which will happen. But what needs to be done is, given the problems which are existing associated with migration, you have to come up with solutions. So first, what is the perspective? A very open perspective that migration has to happen. It will happen. No one can stop it, right? But in order to smoothen the process of migration, you have to develop the source region also, and you have to accordingly develop the destination region also. Simple. And for that development, what needs to be done? So you will be coming up with all the problems associated with migration, and you will be coming up with all the solutions. So the solution would not be there to stop migration as a phenomena. The solutions would be to address the problems which are related with the phenomena of migration. Is that very clear for everyone? This is what I mean when I say that there has to be a perspective, there has to be understanding about the problems, the current status, and finally you will be coming up with the solutions. And the solutions not always needs to be utopian or idealistic. They have to be practical also. Is that very clear for everyone? Chalo. Next thing. Let's talk business. Obviously, we are not here to prepare for anything which is not important from examination point of view. Hamara ek clear funda, we have to clear this exam at any cost. Now, this is, Indian society is basically the part or the section in your GS paper 1. If I talk about GS paper 1 only, this is a significant portion. Approximately 90-75, this has been the weightage of society just in paper 1. So out of 250, if 90 is the weightage which is given to Indian society questions, it has a considerable weightage. And why am I saying this is, I know not to offend any other section which is there. Do you realize how many areas you have in GS paper 1? You have art and culture, you have modern Indian history, you have world history, you have geography, you have post-independence, you have Indian society, too many things, right, in 250 marks. So you need to understand. अभी faculty sir आएंगे बात करेंगे आपसे. Art and culture maximum 1 or 2 questions you will be getting, and many a times the questions are such that it would be difficult to attempt. World history, sir must have already told you that again there will be 1 or 2 odd questions, sometimes 1 question also, but there is too much to be covered, right? Similarly, modern Indian history, it is easy to attempt, but then hardly over the years we have seen that they are not asking much questions, like 2 to 3 questions max. Geography is one area which requires considerable attention because 6 to 7 questions are there. But even then, in geography, you have to study because it's a technical subject, it's an objective subject. Either you know or you don't know. You can't bluff. What is cryosphere? Can you bluff? What is mantle plume? Can you bluff? Either you know or you don't know. The best thing about society is you can never say that you don't know. You can write something on everything. You cannot write, I don't know what are women problems in India. I don't know what are the challenges confronted by women. This is the question which is asked. The question UPSC asked, is poverty responsible for population growth or population growth responsible for poverty? You cannot say, I can't answer, I don't know. This is one debate which we've been studying since school. So you cannot say that. So trust me, this is one section which keeps you busy in the entire first paper of UPSC. Because for rest of the sections, either you know or you don't know. वर्ल्ड हिस्ट्री में तो कभी कभी ऐसे सवाल पूछते हैं जो आपको पता ही नहीं है कहां से पूछ रहे हैं. So society is one area which will keep you busy, and trust me, if you want to surpass that 100 digit in that paper, it is important to attempt this section properly. Actually, the problem, the challenge is, sometimes it appears to be too easy to answer. As a result, we don't prepare much, and we end up writing the answers which are not very value enriched answer, to be very precise. See, this exam, if you understand, is not about how well you have written. It is how relatively you are better than the other candidate. It's all about relative performance. Maybe you have written not so bad answer, but the person just before you has written a brilliant answer. Obviously, automatically the amount of marks that you have scored will reduce. So it's not about how you are faring, it is how better you are as compared to others. So the easiest question is the most difficult to answer, because then you have to present your answer in the best possible manner. And it is this area in society which needs to be worked upon. That is answer writing and more practice, which we will just discuss in some time. But did you get the idea? Most importantly, society is not only asked in GS paper 1. If you realize, there is entire paper on ethics, GS paper 4. So what is ethics? It's a prescribed code of conduct which respect to right and wrong at societal level. So if you don't understand the nuances of society, it would be difficult to answer the question in ethics paper. Most of your case studies are rooted in the problems which are existing in the society. So social issues, social problems needs to be delved upon. Then essay writing. Approximately, without any exaggeration, at least 2 topics every year would be from Indian society. So if you nail this section, it would be easy for you to attempt at least 2 topics, और वही attempt करना होता है. अगर एक ही section में भी आ जाते हैं, तो at least 1 topic from Indian society you will be able to attempt. Is that very clear for everyone? ठीक है. So having said that, this is the importance of the paper. Now let us look at the syllabus. See, I know a lot of questions which would be there, ma'am, which book to read, what not to read, what to prepare. I know this is coming up. Just one piece of request, let me finish the session, and even after that, I have not answered any question of yours, just feel free to ask. But let me just finish, because I think I will be able to answer all the queries. So let's see that. Okay. So if you look at the syllabus, there's one thing. We do not have a standard book as far as society is concerned. Because if you look at the syllabus classification, there would not be a single book where you would be getting information about all these topics. So the second thing, the next thing that you have to learn is deconstruction of syllabus. Based on my previous year experiences, right from 2013 onwards, I have noticed one thing. UPSC never asks out of syllabus. Very rare it happens that it is asking out of syllabus or something which you have not prepared, right? The problem is we don't understand the syllabus. We don't focus on the syllabus. So the next thing that you have to do is deconstruction of syllabus. Every topic needs to be deconstructed. For example, there is no book which clearly defines that what are salient features. So if you have to prepare salient features of Indian society, you need to understand salient means those unique features which gives a proper characteristic, or which is the defining characteristic of your society. So there are certain features which are the defining traits of your society. For example, diversity. Do you agree to this or not? Diversity is the most defining characteristic of Indian society. Now you can further deconstruct it. There are different diversities which are existing. I am telling you how to prepare. See, there would be some of you who would be joining certain institutions, whether us or some other institution. There would be some who would be going for self-study. So basically, in every which way, this is going to help you. Even if you are planning self-study, this is how you have to channelize your preparation. So with respect to diversity, there is linguistic diversity, there is religious diversity, there is regional diversity, racial diversity, ethnic diversity. there are different diversities which are existing in context of India. There are two which I have not mentioned, class and caste. Class I did not mention because that is not very unique to Indian society. Class-based diversity is a global phenomena, right? As far as caste, caste would be a separate topic. Caste system is the most defining characteristic of Indian society, so caste system would be discussed separately. As far as diversity is concerned, you need to understand how you have to prepare yourself. With respect to every diversity, I hope the intent is getting conveyed. With respect to every diversity, obviously diversity will be causing certain problems, है ना? तभी तो कहते हैं ना कि diversity at times act as a threat to national integration, sometimes, not always. So every diversity will be having certain problems associated with it. For example, linguistic nationalism, for example, communalism, regionalism, racial intolerance, ethno-nationalism. So you will be preparing every diversity along with the problems which are associated with the diversity. Is that clear? So, and if you notice in your syllabus, communalism, regionalism are given as a separate topic. Screen dikhaiye. If you look at the fourth column, so you have social empowerment and then you have communalism, regionalism. So that would be covered along with diversity. That is why I say that there has to be interlinkages. So it makes your preparation easy. That in what context? For example, current affairs ko link karo. Linguistic nationalism, Gorkha land issue. There was an issue when they were talking about implementation of Hindi as a compulsory language in South Indian states. So they kind of resented against it, right? So that is nothing but linguistic nationalism. There is an increasing demand of teaching in elementary education in mother tongue. What is that? It is linguistic nationalism. Not always these problems are detrimental. We'll discuss when we are discussing in the classroom program. You need to understand, when I say that you have to develop a thought process, what I mean when I say that is you should never take diversity in India per se as a threat. Diversity is the defining character, and India is known by another salient feature, that is unity in diversity. So you can never say that diversity per se is a threat. But yes, definitely there are certain problems associated which needs to be resolved. Similarly, with religion, there is communalism. There have been lot many incidences of communal violence which has been existing, or regionalism. Okay. Demand for separate nation sometimes, demand for separate state sometimes. So that creates a problem. So that problem needs to be amicably resolved, and you have to prepare the solution. This is how you have to prepare. So the salient feature may you study diversity as a comprehensive topic. The next topic that you study is caste system. Along with diversity, you are also studying unity in diversity. Abhi tak pehli topic ka deconstruction chal raha hai. Another salient feature which is important is joint family. It is a defining characteristic of Indian society. Then another topic that you have is patriarchy. The kind of patriarchy is practiced in India is a salient feature of Indian society. And if you look at the syllabus, there is a topic in your syllabus which says role of women and women organization. So patriarchy would be dealt in detail, where every women issue from every which perspective will be addressed. I'll take up at least one topic to give you that how the flow chart or how the mind map has to be prepared as far as topics is concerned. So koi bhi ek topic last mein utha lenge and I'll give you the idea. Is that clear? So is this topic itna deconstruction clear ho raha hai? theek hai. Then after patriarchy, secularism. The kind of secularism which is practiced in India is very different from that of West. So that makes it a defining characteristic of Indian society. Then India is a multicultural society. Indian society currently is in transition. Transition, what I mean is neither it is no longer traditional nor it has completely become modern. So somewhere we are in the process of transition, which has also created various problems in Indian society, which we'll discuss when we are studying properly. But did you get the point that how the first topic needs to be deconstructed? Now look at the syllabus again. Syllabus दिखा दीजिए ना. Oh. If I look at the topic here, so role of women and women organization will be dealt very comprehensively when we are discussing patriarchy as a salient feature of Indian society. Then we have effect of globalization on Indian society. See, do you understand that everything under the sun can be incorporated as a part of Indian society? And UPSC has just given one statement, effect of globalization on Indian society. How are we supposed to prepare? That becomes a challenge. Let us say Indian society can be characterized having two dimensions to it. One is structure and other is culture. I am just telling you how you are supposed to prepare. We are not discussing the topic per se, but this is how you should prepare. Structure can further be divided into various sections and various institutions. The impact on culture can be defined or discussed from these dimensions: homogenization, hybridization, and revival of local culture. We'll just discuss few of the previous year questions just to give you an idea that what we are discussing so far, you will be able to answer all the questions. Okay? See, under sections, what I mean is like women, old age, youth, SC, ST, person with disability, etc. Institution, family, caste, marriage, education system, media, etc. UPSC says prepare the impact of globalization on Indian society. Nowhere it defines that what all can come under Indian society. That is where the importance of deconstruction comes. You can deconstruct Indian society in two components, structure and culture. Trust me, you will not go wrong. The kind of questions UPSC is asking is, discuss the impact of globalization on women. Discuss the impact of globalization on old age. Are you getting the point? So you have to prepare all the vulnerable sections. Similarly, they can ask to what extent caste system has been annihilated in the context of Indian society. So one of the impact would be of globalization. Did you get the point? So how globalization has altered the institution of family, marriage, caste, education system, media. You have to prepare all these topics discretely, separately. Is that clear? But this is one common area. I think approximately 3 questions have been asked from this area, and the answer more or less remains the same. The only thing which differs is how to structure and what to write and what not to write. Overall answer remains the same. कभी-कभी क्या होता है, कोई एक particular dimension लिखने की जरूरत होती है. We'll just discuss. But what I'm trying to tell you here is this would be your assignment. If you are preparing for this section, try to look for innovative examples. What do I mean when I say homogenization? That is uniformity in the culture. I'm just giving you an idea that you have to prepare these examples. You cannot write an example which is commonly everybody is writing. For example, how globalization has resulted into homogenization. Culture का मतलब होता है way of life. Your values, beliefs, food habits, dressing style, everything, speech, language, everything is a part of culture. So what I'm trying to say in homogenization, for example, junk food culture, McDonaldization of food habits, that is homogenization. Pizza burger culture which is emerging. Are you getting the point? Obsession with English language. If you don't know how to speak English, it seems in India that you are not very educated, which is absolutely a myth. Language is just a medium of communication. How did it become the status of your intellectual capacity? I did not understand that. But that is what is homogenization, obsession with English language. Hybridization means nothing but globalization. ग्लोबल प्लस लोकल, अपने एग्जाम्पल्स खुद तैयार करो. रीमिक्स म्यूजिक कल्चर, ग्लोबल प्लस लोकल. मैकडॉनल्ड्स गोइंग वेजिटेरियन ड्यूरिंग नवरात्रि, ग्लोकलाइजेशन. Hollywood movies getting dubbed in regional languages, globalization. Is that very clear? Revival of local culture. When your own local culture is getting represented on the global platform. International Yoga Day. Is that clear? Religious revivalism. Prepare more examples. Prepare at least 5-6 examples from every aspect, all the 3 aspects. And the topics is prepared. You don't have to do much in Indian society. All you need to do is deconstruct, and for every topic have at least 200 to 250 words write up, so that in case the question comes, you are able to comfortably answer. So उसके लिए आप self study भी करना चाहो तो कर सकते हो. Absolutely no issues. Is that clear? ठीक है? Next, let's look at the syllabus. There is a topic social empowerment here. See, you need to understand social empowerment is slightly different from political and economic empowerment. If I go by the definition of social empowerment, it says autonomy with respect to decision making and confidence to bring about changes in the society. So what you need to understand, if I go by this definition, can I say that this can become the conclusion of most of your questions? As in when you are writing the answer, it can become the conclusion. For example, Indian government has made lot of efforts for political empowerment and economic empowerment of women. But where are we lacking is social empowerment. Let me give you an example, you will understand better what I am trying to say. Women has representation, or there is reservation for women in panchayat. So that means political empowerment of women is taking place, but then there is a problem of sarpanch pati, mukhiya pati to be very precise. That means although she has been given the post of sarpanch, what she doesn't have is the autonomy with respect to decision making. That means although political empowerment has been there, but what is still missing out is the social empowerment. Similarly, women is now getting represented in the labor market. She is getting access to job, she is getting access to financial independence, but despite that, National Family Health Survey report says 89% of the women do not have the freedom to spend the money that they are earning. Matlab, they have access to job, they are earning money, but then they don't have the freedom to spend the money which they are only earning. So that means what is missing is autonomy with respect to decision making, that is social empowerment. So can we say in most of your answers, social empowerment has to be the thought process, that no amount of political economic empowerment will give you the desired result in the absence of social empowerment. This has to be the approach with respect to all the vulnerable sections. Is that very clear? Is it making sense? Can we proceed? Then, obviously, communalism, regionalism, which we have already talked about, that we will discuss as a part of salient feature. Secularism would also be separately discussed as a part of salient feature. ठीक है, मैं एक टॉपिक बता दूंगी कि किस तरह से तैयार करना है, so you will get a better idea. Then population and associated issues. This is most important topic because every year at least 1 to 2 questions are there. It is slightly long topic, so इसका हम bifurcation करके बता देते हैं that how you are supposed to prepare this topic. I'm just giving you one bifurcation to give you an understanding that how this topic needs to be prepared. Let us say the topic is population and associated issues. This is what I say flow chart or proper deconstruction of the topic. So if you look at it, population and associated issue, start with the debate, which is often associated with high population or growth of population, that whether this growing population is an asset or it is a liability. There is an important topic associated, that is demography. Demography basically means characteristic of the population. You will study it as what is concept, what are the types of demography, what is demographic dividend. The possibility of asking question on demographic dividend is very high. Already UPSC has asked it also once. Then what are the factors which are responsible for population change? Fertility, mortality, migration. See, migration is a very important topic, especially in the backdrop of COVID. But secondly, migration separately is nowhere mentioned in your syllabus. That is the importance of deconstruction of the syllabus. So fertility, mortality and migration, and each of these three topics have to be prepared in detail. In some time I'll tell you how social issues have to be prepared. Then vulnerable sections, child, old age, person with disability, transgender, you can add tribals to it. Women I have not added because we have already covered that. Then at last, population policy in India. Again, very important topic. It's been 20 years since last population policy has emerged. So it becomes again very important to prepare these topics, and this is how it has to be prepared. This is just one example I'm giving, that how the topics have to be prepared. I'm not here to teach you, just to guide you that how deconstruction has to be done in today's session at least. Is that very clear for everyone? Let's look at the other topics. See, poverty is UPSC's favorite topic. Either you have questions or you have an essay topic entirely to poverty. Poverty is also mentioned in GS paper 2, poverty and hunger. It becomes very important, right? So poverty has to be prepared in detail. What is concept of poverty, approaches to poverty, different manifestations of poverty, measures, estimates of poverty, which you study in economy, causes of poverty, consequences of poverty, government efforts, what are the lacunas and what should be the way forward. So in detail you have to deconstruct every topic so as to that you have sufficient content. And trust me, ये आज बहुत मेहनत लग रही होगी कि अरे इतना करना पड़ेगा, ये एक बार की मेहनत है. And once you are done with it, ऐसा तो है नहीं कि कहीं लिखा है कि poverty can be asked only in society. What if they ask you in economy paper? What if they ask you how poverty is posing governance challenges, or it is one of the major challenges confronting Indian government since time? GS paper 2 में already UPSC पूछ चुका है about poverty. There has been an entire essay topic on poverty. So none of your effort will ever go waste. This much is something which I can guarantee. Is that clear? So don't shy away from putting in the hard work. Is that clear? And please do not think about the result. Do not think about that whether this effort would be fruitful or not. But yes, make the efforts in the right direction. That is all what we expect. Clear hai? Ek last topic dekho. Urbanization, problems and remedies. Ye already deconstructed hai. What is urbanization? What are the problems associated with urbanization? And what will be the possible solution? So this is how you prepare yourself. Is that very clear? Let's very quickly have a look at previous year questions. See, one thing, let me tell you about the teaching pedagogy. We will be giving you these flow charts in the beginning of every topic to give you an understanding that how the topic has to be prepared. Then every topic would be prepared in detail. At the end of every topic, whatever is the current relevance of that particular issue, those current contemporary issues would be taken up. Okay? For example, if I have to teach you population policy, I will be talking about population policy in India, how it has evolved, what were the reasons for its failure. It is the high time, it's 20 years now. So what kind of population policy are we looking forward, and what should be the ultimate solution? So based on whatever is your contemporary conventional understanding, it would be applied to the contemporary realities. Is that clear? Now just look at the question. Look at the third question. Examine the effect of globalization on aged population in India. सही, एकदम डायरेक्ट सवाल यूपीएससी पूछती है. अगर तो तैयारी कर रखी है, you will be able to write the answer. और ऐसा नहीं है कि suppose you have not prepared, you will not be able to write something. Obviously उस वक्त दिमाग लगा के कुछ तो लिख ही लोगे. But the challenge is in 3 hours when you have to write 20 answers, then you do not have much time to think. So you should already have certain fodder prepared so that in examination you only need to focus on the context in which the question has been asked and how it needs to be presented. If you will start deliberating on the content in the examination, it would be a challenge to complete the paper. So fodder has to be prepared beforehand. कहते हैं ना, if you want to bleed less in war, you need to sweat more in peace. So please sweat more in peace and prepare these handouts. Anyway, so look at the first question. I just want, see, I am not here to discuss the answer. I will just tell you what kind of questions UPSC can ask and how you can prepare yourself. If you look at the first question, see, urbanization per se is a positive phenomena. It shows sign of progress, that how society is getting transitioned. But UPSC is asking you the problems associated with urbanization. Pehli baat, so it is directly from the syllabus, what are the problems? And second, you need to keep in mind that whenever there is any issue right in front of you, you have to prepare both the argument as well as the counter argument. I'll give you an example. Do you all agree that child labor is a problem in Indian society? We all agree. You can obviously, when you will be preparing child labor as an issue, because in the backdrop of COVID, again, child labor has become an important matter of consideration. What we will be preparing? What is the statistics of child labor? What are the causes? What are the consequences? Government efforts, lacunas, what should be the way forward? What if UPSC asks you the question that what are the problems associated with abolition of child labor? Did you get the point what I'm trying to ask here? Okay, if I ask you the question, what are the economic and social consequences of abolishing child labor? You know the positive consequences, right? But you also have to write the negative consequences, because for every topic that you prepare, what you need to do is SWOT analysis: strength, weakness, opportunity and threat. Prepare your threats as well, that in case immediately, आज तक क्यों नहीं गवर्नमेंट ने चाइल्ड लेबर कंप्लीटली अबॉलिश किया? You know ना कि चाइल्ड लेबर is still persisting, because less than 14 में family enterprises और audio visual industry, entertainment industry में it is allowed barring circus, and 14 to 18 it is allowed barring the prohibited industries. So child labor is persisting. Why? Because it is always said that given the nature of poverty, child labor completely cannot be eradicated in India. ये गुरुपद स्वामी committee ने कहा था. But irrespective of that, that's not my concern. My concern is that what is the threat? If today immediately I abolish child labor, then what would be the threat which will be generated? So I am trying to say, always prepare argument as well as counter argument, no matter how much on the face value the topic appears to be in certain direction. Is that clear? For example, feminization of agriculture. Increased presence हो रही है women की agriculture में. Obviously, it is a sign of economic prosperity. But then there are so many challenges which women is confronting in the agriculture sector. Prepare argument as well as counter argument. This is what I'm trying to draw your attention to the fact. Is that very clear? Next. Look at the question. Last question. How do Indian debates on secularism differ from that of West? Same question they have asked again in 2018. So that is why it is important to prepare previous year questions, because chances of repeating the questions is also very high in UPSC. They might alter the statement, but more or less answer remains the same. But isme to question bhi same hai. Then look at the third question. The life cycle of a joint family depends on economic factors rather than social values. My question to you, was joint family there in your syllabus? No. Once you deconstructed, you understood that you have to prepare joint family. A general understanding which is existing in our mindset is, traditionally we were joint, today we have become nuclear. UPSC has asked the question life cycle. So you also have to complete the cycle. What I'm trying to say is that sometimes what you know might not have been asked. So answer accordingly what is being asked. तो जब लाइफ साइकिल पूछ लिया है, और सपोज करो आपको सिर्फ इतना ही पता था कि फ्रॉम जॉइंट वी आर बिकमिंग न्यूक्लियर, तो उस समय 2 मिनट सोचो कि हाउ कैन वी लिंक इट अगेन बैक टू जॉइंट, हाउ कैन वी से कि अगेन न्यूक्लियर फैमिलीज आर बिकमिंग जॉइंट, एंड राइट एटलीस्ट 1 or 2 arguments. Otherwise your answer, no matter it is not wrong, but it has not answered the demand of the question which is being asked. So be very specific about these nuances in the questions. Is that clear? Let's look at this next year. So these are few things which you have to keep in mind. Look at the third question. How do you explain the statistics which shows that sex ratio in tribes is more favorable to women than sex ratio among scheduled caste? Many of you have a doubt that how and in what capacity the reports have to be prepared. Obviously, census report अगले साल आ जाएगी. तो census report of 2011 clearly says, the last census report, that sex ratio among scheduled caste is 945. Sex ratio समझते हैं ना, number of females per 1000 males. So 945. But in scheduled tribes it's 990. This is the statistics that you have got from census. UPSC will never ask you the statistics. They will ask you the reason behind that statistic. So whenever you come across any statistics, and if you think that is worth asking, not every random statistics, but if you think it is worth asking, just devote some time to understand that what are the possible causes and what can be the implication of that statistics. This is how you prepare yourself. Is that clear? For example, aging population, old age population. Currently it is 8.6% and it is expected it will increase to 20% by 2050. Now, this is the statistics. That means we are moving towards old age population. We are moving towards aging. Now, the question can be, what are the factors responsible for it? And what will be the consequences of this changing population nature? With more population in old age bracket, what will be the consequences? इस तरह का सवाल यूपीएससी पूछती है, ये नहीं पूछेगी कि ओल्ड एज में कितनी पॉपुलेशन है और क्या है. So whenever you come across a statistic, devote some time to it just to understand what can be the possible causes and what can be the possible consequences. And trust me, UPSC is not looking for the best answer. Absolutely not. Hardly 3-4 arguments as causes and 3-4 arguments in the consequences and you are done. इतना तो स्कोप ही नहीं है आंसर लिखने का. 10 नंबर का तो क्वेश्चन आता है कुल में. मैक्सिमम है 10 मार्कर और 15 मार्कर, राइट? और 15 मार्कर्स में भी ऑफन देयर आर सब पार्ट्स टू इट. सो व्हाट यू नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड इज व्हाट दे आर नॉट लुकिंग फॉर इज द मॉडल काइंड ऑफ एन आंसर, बट इट शुड बी कॉन्टेक्चुअली करेक्ट, relevant, content wise you should not bluff, and it should be presented in a manner that it holds the attention of the examiner. That's it. Okay? So don't look for that best possible and don't unnecessarily waste your time looking for a lot of arguments or the content. Minimum possible content which can be presented in the best possible manner. Is that very clear for everyone? Okay. Look at the fourth question. Discuss the positive negative impact of globalization on women in India. अब इससे ज्यादा स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड क्वेश्चन नहीं पूछ सकते. तैयारी करी है तो अच्छा आंसर लिख लोगे, नहीं तो कोई बात नहीं. Fifth question. Discuss the changes in the trends of labor migration within and outside India in the last 4 decades. Did you get the point? Debate the issue whether and how contemporary movements for assertion of Dalit identity work towards annihilation of caste. इस साल थोड़ा सा पेपर डिफिकल्ट था as compared to, because lot many people did not understand, but if you've studied Dalit movement is a part of caste system also, and Dalit movement you will study in post independence also. So if you know the content you will be able to write the answer. इतना कोई rocket science नहीं है, बस थोड़ी सी मेहनत करनी होगी. Look at this. Look at the third question. Why are tribals in India referred as scheduled tribes? Indicate the major provisions enshrined in the constitution for their upliftment. See, why did I pick up this question is, it is too direct a question. Can you see that they have specifically differentiated the marks weightage also for both the parts? Now in the second part they are asking you major provisions. Whenever you are preparing the provisions or in general the efforts for any vulnerable section, you should prepare it in the capacity constitutional provision, statutory convention, government schemes, any international convention if existing. You can also prepare the case laws. These case laws will be very important for your GS paper 2. Polity में बहुत काम आएंगे कोट करने में. Did you understand? So always prepare at least the most important vulnerable sections. For every vulnerable section you will not get under all the 5 subheadings, but wherever you get it, just prepare it. चाहे वो tribes हो, चाहे वो दलित हो, चाहे वो women हो, person with disability हो, ठीक है, you child labor हो, so you have to prepare it like this. It gives more value, it adds more value to your answer, and sometimes UPSC specifically asks the question. For example, there they have specifically asked constitutional provision. Bluff नहीं कर सकते हो, articles याद होने चाहिए. Otherwise, it would not serve the purpose. You should know the article which contains the definitional element, or for economic educational interest, for political empowerment, for administrative convenience. जब पढ़ोगे, मुझे पता है अभी थोड़ा भारी हो रहा है ये सब, जब पढ़ोगे पॉलिटी तो अपने आप समझ आ जाएगा that how it is supposed to be written. Is that very clear? ठीक है. Now, let's take some other question. Okay, read the second question. What are the two legal initiatives by the state since independence addressing discrimination against scheduled tribes? I told you na, prepared statutory convention. So in case you would have prepared this, आपको पता होता Prevention of Atrocity Act, Forest Right Act, Panchayat Extension to Scheduled Areas. You can write any two. Is it making sense? Now, read the third question. I am just telling you which areas you need to focus upon. Read the third question. The spirit of tolerance and love is not only an interesting feature of Indian society from early times, but it is also playing an important part at the present. Elaborate. Why did I pick up this question? The question was asked in 2017. There was a lot of debate that time going in the Indian discourse with respect to intolerance. Right? बहुत सारी intolerance debate थी ना. There were a lot of people who have returned their rewards. Amir Khan's wife was feeling unsafe. So there were many such incidences which were happening, and a lot of intolerance debate. So UPSC asked you a statement, right? The spirit of love and tolerance is not only an interesting feature since early times, but even present at present. Matlab even it is existing at present level. The question here, the key word, if you look at, is elaborate, the tail word to be very precise. It is not discuss, it is not comment, it is not critically analyze. It says elaborate. Elaborate का मतलब होता है, given the statement, you don't have to pass the value judgment. You assume the statement to be true and you just elaborate on the statement either by giving examples or by case studies or by statistics and facts. इस क्वेश्चन में you were having no scope to write about intolerance. आपको right from ancient India शुरू हो जाना था. Ancient India, medieval India, modern India, post independence में pre globalized, post globalized era, and for every element write two examples where it is the exemplification of the fact that there exists love and tolerance. So whether वो अशोक का धम्मा हो, चाहे वो बुद्धिज्म हो, जैनिज्म हो, चाहे वो अकबर की पॉलिसी हो, चाहे वो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन हो, ठीक है. So basically you only have to talk about the incidences where love and tolerance can be justified. There was no scope, not even once the word intolerance was supposed to be written, क्योंकि यहाँ पे discuss, comment, analyze नहीं था, यहाँ पे elaborate था. That is why I chose this question, to tell you that the content might be different, context cannot be. So these tail words are very important because they tell you that in which direction the answer has to be written. So if you have written about intolerance debate, chahe briefly hi, it would not be wrong, but that is not the demand of the question, so you will not fetch marks for that. Unnecessarily time or space waste karoge. इसीलिए for every question, keywords, tail words are very important. Do not ever think that that is going to waste your time. और करना ही क्या है? Positive लिखो, negative लिखो, end कर दो. हर question में तो यही करना होता है. इतना आसान होता तो फिर यूपीएससी ऐसा देता ही क्यों? कहने का मतलब है आसान तो है, समझने की जरूरत है. यू हैव टू फोकस ऑन इट. इज दैट क्लियर? ठीक है. एंड ट्रस्ट मी, सच में मुश्किल नहीं है इस एग्जाम को क्लियर करना. बस इतना है कि थोड़ा सा यू नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड दिस डिमांड ऑफ द एग्जामिनेशन बेटर. Whenever you decide to prepare for this exam, maybe many of you have already decided and have already started. Just consolidate your preparation, as in start identifying the most important area, not so important area, and the least important area. And every day make sure that maximum effort goes into that most important area. Is that very clear? Automatically you will be in a comfortable position after certain months. दूसरा चीज, do not be in a rush or in a hurry. That मुझे आज ही बस पॉलिटी समझ आ जाए, मुझे आज ही. मुझे बहुत सारे मेल्स मैसेजेस आते हैं, मैम मैंने पढ़ा था एक हफ्ते पहले, एक महीने पहले, बट टुडे आई डोंट रिमेंबर. मैंने तो कल की पढ़ी हुई चीज मुझे याद नहीं रहती आज. दैट्स अ वेरी ह्यूमन नेचर, बिग डील. Today also when I come before the lecture, I have to study. I study every day, and if I'm not prepared, I don't come for the lecture. So that's a very human nature. You have to study, you have to revise every now and then. दिमाग छोटा सा है, सब कुछ नहीं एक साथ आ जाएगा, ठीक है? So the point here is study, revise, study, revise. That should be the technique. And don't have too much of expectation. Unnecessarily don't burden yourself with unrealistic expectation. एक एरिस्टोटल ने एक बड़ा अच्छा स्टेटमेंट बोला था, सेल्फ अवेयरनेस इज द बिगिनिंग ऑफ ऑल विजडम. सेल्फ अवेयरनेस, जस्ट बी अवेयर अबाउट योर स्ट्रेंथ्स एंड योर वीकनेसेस. ट्राई टू प्ले अराउंड योर स्ट्रेंथ्स and minimize your weaknesses, and trust me, you will sail through. It's not about this examination, it's the philosophy of life, which I have totally, as in I try to imbibe that in my personal life also. You have to be aware. I cannot be good at everything. Same goes for you. You cannot be good at everything. So play around your strengths. I'll tell you how it worked for me. Sometimes students ask, in general, that how can you make so many flowcharts and ye kaise ho jata hai? I have always been a science student. For me, writing in paragraphs is actually a challenge because I have never done that. So for me, this flowcharts, writing in bullets, making diagrams comes very naturally. So I have learned to play around my strengths and not fret over my weakness. कि what if या मैं तो paragraph writing कर ही नहीं पाती, नहीं कर पाते कोई बात नहीं है जी, दूसरे तरीके हैं पढ़ने के, दूसरे ढूंढ लेंगे. Is that very clear for everyone? ठीक है, चलो. Okay, we have a question. What level of English is important for clearing this examination? Tajal, as far as my understanding goes, English which is understandable by the person who's reading. Okay, have you watched 3 Idiots? वो एक scene याद है? आमिर खान जवाब देता है, what is a machine? And there was this other guy who gave a very complicated, convoluted English with full-fledged, and फिर वो बोलता है ना कि कहना क्या चाह रहे हो? So the point here is उतनी English लिखो कि सामने वाला समझ जाए कहना क्या चाह रहे हो. So a simple English, well comprehensible, easily understandable by the person who's reading, trust me, you will sail through. These Tharurization थोड़ी ना करना, with all due respect to Shashi Tharoor, I'm a big fan, but Tharurization नहीं करना है पेपर का. Simple, understandable English, neat handwriting. ये भी नहीं कहूंगी बहुत beautiful handwriting होनी चाहिए. कल से पता चला आप cursive handwriting करने बैठ गए. The point here is again, don't fret on your weaknesses. Maximize around your strengths. So what I'm saying is that even if your handwriting is not the beautiful one, just make it legible. It should be understandable. See, you need to understand. Your script is the only mode of communication between you and your examiner. Examiner doesn't know you personally. He doesn't know how much preparation you have done for this exam. What he cares for it is what you have presented on the script. So he should be able to understand your intention. Your intention needs to be conveyed. Simple English, neatly presented answer, well presented with diagrams, flow charts, underlining, highlighting important points. Your job is done. Is that clear? और हिंदू पढ़ लो थोड़ा, इंडियन एक्सप्रेस पढ़ने लग जाओगे, थोड़ी बहुत इंग्लिश तो वैसे ही सुधर जाती है. So उतना फाइट नहीं है. Okay, when we write an answer, how do we keep the linkage between current affairs with the basic things which are given in the book? And how to write a good answer while you're writing an answer from sociology topic? See, Mujibur, you need to understand that for the very first time you will not be understanding what exactly would be a very good answer. But wait, I'll just answer this. We will be having a session on answer writing also, so there we will deliberate more. But since you've asked the question, I'll give you a piece of advice. What you can do is that go on Vision ka platform. There is a tab, resource, in which topper scripts are uploaded. Okay? Just have a look at those scripts. Not because to copy them, absolutely not, because it's a good thing that if you notice if you go through those scripts, because you will notice that all of them are toppers, yet they have different handwriting, their level of English is very different. But one thing which will be common in almost all the scripts is that they have answered exactly according to the question which has been asked. That is a common trait which you will find in all the topper script. And you will see that how they have accentuated their presentation, how they have better their presentation. So just go through topper scripts, you will get an understanding. Second, how do you keep a linkage with current affairs? What you can do is that, let us suppose we are discussing regionalism, yeah, we are discussing poverty for that matter, or health. Health utha lete hain, aajkal COVID mein famous hai. So health hum pad rahe. So whenever you are preparing, whenever you are preparing your notes, just draw a margin on the side. I know this sounds very juvenile, why am I telling you this, but this really works. It works for me also. So what you can do is that you prepare health ka basic topic, what is health, what are the issues, what are different tiers of health system, everything is written. Then suppose you come across a newspaper which talks about how there are gaps in urban health infrastructure. So identify the important points which are written there. Okay. Then you might come up with a news that WHO says that currently there is a problem with infrastructure. For example, number of doctors are less, nurses are less, or for that matter, beds are less. तो वो जो data आता है उसको side में लिख लो. All that data, all that current news, all the arguments will help you enrich your answer. So you will have comprehensive material, but at the same time it will be consolidated at one place. So revision would become easy. Is that very clear? I hope this is making sense for everyone. ठीक है? चलो let's very जल्दी से proceed. Okay, I wanted to discuss this fourth question. जल्दी से देखो. Okay, I am just telling you how to prepare. See, so the fourth question is distinguish between religiousness and communalism, and by giving one example, वो जो दिख नहीं रहा है स्क्रीन के पीछे उसमें लिखा है, by giving one example of how the former has got transformed into latter in post-independent India. I am not here to discuss the entire question, so let's forget about the first part, that is religiousness and communalism. The main thing which I want to draw your attention to is, by giving one example, show how religiousness transforms into communalism in post-independent India. That is my concern. The question was asked in 2017. This was the 25th year of Babri Masjid demolition. Babri Masjid was demolished on 6th of December 1992. The question has been asked in 2017, and trust me, Babri Masjid demolition is a perfect example to show how religiousness transforms into communalism. Why am I saying this is? Because here you can quote about every political party. Rajiv Gandhi government also in 1992, UP government also. So what is communalism? यहाँ पे प्लीज अपनी आइडियोलॉजीज मत लाना, बिकॉज आई एम अ वेरी रैशनल पर्सन. आई डू नॉट टॉक इन फेवर ऑफ एनी पर्टिकुलर पार्टी. आई एम अ थर्ड पार्टी. आई एम ऑल टुगेदर, आई एम इन्फॉर्म्ड सिटीजन. सो आई एम ओनली कंसर्न अबाउट डेवलपमेंट. सो यहाँ पे कोई पॉलिटिकल आइडियोलॉजी मत लाना, मैं बस एक फैक्ट के बेसिस पे बता रही हूँ. मेरा जो आपका अटेंशन ड्रॉ करने का मैटर था वो ये था, 5 ईयर, 10 ईयर, 25 ईयर, 50 ईयर, 100 ईयर, अगर किसी भी चीज के होते हैं, द probability of asking the question is very high. The very same year, 2017, in GS paper 2, the question was asked with respect to analysis of National Commission for Women. It was an expected question because 1992 में National Commission of Women was formed. It was 25 years of National Commission of Women, and asking the question with respect to the evaluation of its performance was an expected question. तो आप ये नहीं कह सकते अरे एनालिसिस पूछ लिया, यूपीएससी तो कुछ भी पूछता है. कुछ भी नहीं पूछता है, हमारे ध्यान से उतर गया तैयार करना. So 5 year, 10 year, 25 year, 50 years ध्यान रखा करो. बाकी हम तो हैं ध्यान कराने के लिए. But is that very clear? कोई क्वेश्चन बचता है? सेकंड क्वेश्चन देखो. Globalization is generally said to promote cultural homogenization, but due to this, cultural specificities are getting strengthened. I told you na, homogenization, hybridization, revival of local culture, standard way of asking. This is the way they ask the question, so you don't have to worry about it. Is that clear? See, second question. How is Indian concept of secularism different from Western model of secularism? I told you na, they are repeating their question. Last question. Are we losing our local identity for the global identity? Remember, homogenization, hybridization, revival of local culture. So are we losing out on your local identity? It appears that there is homogenization which is taking place due to globalization. So there is global identity formation which is happening. However, there has been incidences of hybridization, there has been incidences of revival of local culture. Hence we can say local identity is getting strengthened, and then you can give examples. Did you get the point? This is how it has to be done. Is that clear? एक बार फिर से दिखाइए. Fifth question देखो. What are the continued challenges for women in India against time and space? Do you really think that this is a difficult question? This is the easiest question, but trust me, it was actually a challenge to answer this question. कभी-कभी क्या होता है कि you know there are too many challenges which is confronting women, and often students get confused. ये against time and space का क्या करना है? कुछ नहीं करना. Normally challenges लिखने in an evolutionary manner. That's it. So many a times, too much overthinking also can have a negative repercussion. Take the question as it comes to you. Do not overthink. कभी कभी स्टूडेंट को लगता है ना, नहीं यार इसमें कोई कैच होगा. ये प्रीलिम्स में अक्सर होता है. यूपीएससी इतना इजी सवाल तो पूछ ही नहीं सकती. There must be some catch in this question, and unnecessarily we use our brain, and then we'll come up with certain exceptions, and we'll like, I think no one has thought about it. It is only me who has understood this catch, and trust me, it will be a wrong thing. यूपीएससी को इतना ओवर एस्टिमेट मत करो, वो बहुत डिफिकल्ट क्वेश्चन नहीं पूछती, वो नॉर्मल क्वेश्चन पूछती है. इज दैट वेरी क्लियर? ठीक है. सो ऑन दिस नोट 2019, आर यू गेटिंग एन अंडरस्टैंडिंग दैट हाउ द टॉपिक्स हैव टू बी अप्रोच्ड? The most probable question which would be coming next, what is supposed to be read? ठीक है. See, simple bhasha. If you are planning to join foundation batch, no need to read books as of now. ठीक है. You will be reading it once I'm done with the classes. Let us assume you are not joining any institution. In that situation, class 11th and class 12th NCRTs. There are 2 NCRTs of class 11th and 2 NCRTs of class 12th. Personally, I would prefer class 12th NCRTs because class 11th, there is slightly theoretical perspective to it and it is more advisable for sociology optional student. So for GS perspective, if you're reading class 12th NCRTs, that would be more than enough. So class 12th, there are 2 NCRTs, Social Change and Development and Indian Society. So both these NCRTs have to be prepared, that's it. Second thing is, there is no standard book which is available in the market. There is no Lakshmikant for Indian Society, I'm so sorry. So for that, what you can do, if you can get access to our notes, printed notes or classroom notes, good enough. Even if you cannot, इतना कोई घाई नहीं है. क्लास 12 की दोनों NCRTs पढ़ो, उसके बाद जो भी करंट अफेयर्स है ना, सोशल इश्यूज, ठीक है, वेदर फ्रॉम आवर इंस्टीट्यूट और एनी अदर access, or even if you are reading newspaper, that would be a brilliant thing if you're doing that in detail. That has to be done. So from the newspaper or from the current affairs, the social issues have to be incorporated. I have already told you that how the syllabus have to be deconstructed, what all topics needs to be referred. So in case you come across any article, how that article has to be used. You know how to use the data. Is that very clear? Please remember, in every answer that you are writing, especially in Indian society, there is a lot of scope of quoting schemes, quoting statistics, and that enriches your answer. Please do that. Please do that. Is that very clear? So finally, I'm just giving you one perspective that how social issues in general has to be prepared. उस social issue में आप कुछ भी डाल देना. Any social issue, whichever social issue comes to your mind, let us say child labor. What is concept of child labor? ILO की definition तैयार कर लो. Any labor which deprives the child of their childhood, dignity, potential, harmful for their cognitive, physical development, वो definition हो गई. Statistics तैयार कर लो. According to census, 10 million, 10.1 million child labor are there in context of India. It is 7.3% of the global problem of child labor. I'm just giving you an example. So you can prepare the concept, you can prepare the statistics. When you have to prepare the causes, there are different ways of preparing the causes. For example, I'm just giving you different techniques. Either prepare push factor, pull factor, or prepare social cause, economic cause, cultural, political, anything. Environmental, जो भी fix, जो वहाँ पे fix हो रहा हो, as in given the topic. For example, if the topic is child labor, I will prefer push factor and the pull factor. Totally depends upon you. Administrative causes भी लिख सकते हो. That how you are taking this. Then if I have to talk about consequences and implication, obviously social consequence, economic consequence, that is one way of doing it. Otherwise, there is another way of doing it. The consequence for individual, consequence for family, consequence for nation, and consequence for the status of nation at global level. Child labor. What would be the consequence for the child who is performing the labor? What will be the consequence for the family? What will be the consequence for the nation? How it is going to impact the status of nation at the global level? Government efforts, we have already talked about. Constitutional efforts, statutory efforts, schemes, international conventions, etc. Constitutional efforts, you have Article 23, Article 24, statutory child labor की बात कर रही हूँ, statutory child labor prohibition act, schemes, national child labor policy, national child labor project, international वो ठीक है आपका international convention of ILO 138, 182, so all of those is nothing but international convention. पढ़ोगे आ जाएगा, ठीक है. Lacunas, obviously there would be certain lacunas that despite so many provisions, child labor is still persisting. That means there are certain problems. That is nothing but challenges that you have to write. Then you have to suggest way forward. There are two ways of writing way forward: short term, long term, or you can write infrastructural, implementational, and attitudinal. I am just telling you different ways of preparing. That's it. So this is just one example to show how the content can be prepared. Now up to you. जितना कर सकते हो उतना अच्छा है. Is that very clear? So I hope whatever we have discussed as far as social issues or Indian society is concerned, things are getting clear. If you still have any doubts, please feel free to ask. ठीक है? I have to very quickly take up with you post-independence. अच्छा हाँ, newspaper. Any newspaper which you find interesting. Indian Express, Hindu, Mint, whichever newspaper. I would not say just stick to one newspaper or you have to read the entire newspaper right from page 1 to the end. You will learn, and with time, with more understanding of the demand of this exam, you will realize that there are certain important topics in everyday newspaper. Only those topics are supposed to be read, not everything. ठीक है? तो उतना with time, with experience आप सीख लोगे. ठीक? But yeah, newspaper reading is important. इसलिए नहीं कि बहुत कंटेंट ढूंढना होता है उसमें से. न्यूज़पेपर रीडिंग से ना थॉट प्रोसेस डेवलप होता है, ओपिनियन बिल्डिंग होती है. ठीक है? सो यू हैव टू लर्न दैट. ठीक, एंड यू हैव टू गेट यूज्ड टू इट. किसी ने पूछा ना इंग्लिश टर्मिनोलॉजीज जो होती हैं, यू लर्न फ्रॉम न्यूज़पेपर. देयर आर स्पेसिफिक टर्मिनोलॉजीज व्हिच इफ रिटन इन द आंसर, दैट इज नथिंग टू डू विद इंग्लिश. दैट इज द वोकैब ऑफ अ प्रॉपर सब्जेक्ट. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, you are writing about ostracization, sensitization, right? Or exclusion for that matter, feminization, casteization. These are terminologies, the basic terminologies in the social capacity. ये आना चाहिए और ये आ जाएगा, ये कोई बहुत भारी भरकम बात नहीं है. And this has nothing to do with English as such. These are the vocab. अब physics, chemistry पढ़ते हो तो उसमें भी तो concept पढ़ते ही हो ना. इंटीग्रेशन, डिफरेंशिएशन मैथ्स में पढ़ते ही हो ना. वैसे ही हर सब्जेक्ट की, हर एक सेक्शन की अपनी वोकैबुलरी होती है. दैट वोकैबुलरी नीड्स टू बी लर्न्ड. ठीक है? वेरी क्विकली, पोस्ट इंडिपेंडेंस इंडिया, लेट्स स्टार्ट. आई डोंट हैव मच टाइम, द अदर फैकल्टी इज वेटिंग. सी, unnecessarily, I will not tell you to prepare a lot of things. As far as post-independence is concerned, it was also added in 2013, and in 2013 there were 5 questions which were asked that time. So we were like, a lot of weightage is given and all that. उसके बाद there was not even a single year where the question was asked. एक 2016 में एक question था वो which you could have answered from Indian society also. But having said that, UPSC can change the pattern anytime. This is unpredictable examination rather than Union Public Service examination. So what I'm trying to tell you here is that they can change the pattern anytime, and since it is a part of your syllabus, you cannot overlook it, right? But unnecessarily devoting too much of time is not required. You have to be a smart worker, first thing. Second thing is post-independence can come very handy when you have to write evolution of something, or you have to understand the contemporary reality. Why polity is operating in a certain capacity, why economy has shaped in a certain way, why this regional issue has emerged in today's time, or the international relations also. If you're studying India-China relation, you should have an idea about 1962 India-China war. If you are trying to understand India-Pakistan relation, you have to talk about all the 4 wars which has happened in the past. If you are trying to understand the challenges to democracy, you should know what has happened during emergency period, right? And if we are talking about the regional crisis, you should know what was the problem of Assam. If you are trying to understand NRC today, you have to understand the Assam crisis of 1979 to 85. तो पढ़ना बड़ा मजेदार चीज है. बट उस पर बहुत ज्यादा टाइम अननेसेसरली डिवोट करने की जरूरत नहीं है. देयर इज अ डॉक्यूमेंट्री प्रधानमंत्री, यू कैन वॉच दैट एंड ट्रस्ट मी, उसको भी बहुत एजुकेशन पर्पज से मत सुनना या देखना. इट शुड बी मोर ऑफ सीकिंग अवेयरनेस दैट एज इन व्हाट हैज हैपेंड. एक क्यूरोसिटी जनरेट होती है ना, व्हाट हैज हैपेंड इन पास्ट, how Hindu code bill has shaped, why constitution has been structured in a certain manner. There is always an inquisitiveness, a curiosity. So that curiosity needs to be addressed. First thing, essay writing में background लिखने के बड़ा काम आता है post independence India. ठीक है. और समटाइम्स टॉकिंग अबाउट लीडरशिप, क्योंकि एथिक्स के पेपर में आपको लीडर्स कोट करने होते हैं, तो लाल बहादुर शास्त्री, जवाहरलाल नेहरू, एपीजे अब्दुल कलाम, पता होना चाहिए व्हाट सैम मैनिक शॉ, इफ यू हैव टू टॉक अबाउट. सो ऑब्वियसली ही हैज प्लेड अ वेरी सिग्निफिकेंट रोल इन द विक्ट्री इन 1971 वॉर. सो यू कैन कोट दोज एग्जांपल्स, बट वो तो तब करोगे ना जब पता होगा क्या हुआ है पास्ट में. इज दैट क्लियर? सो इन दैट कैपेसिटी इट बिकम्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. सोशल मूवमेंट्स you will study in post independence. So what I'm doing now is, there are basically two books. One is Bipin Chandra, okay, India since independence, and there is one other book, Ramchand Guha, India after Gandhi. See, Ramchand Guha, both are very bulky books. I would prefer that you read Bipin Chandra. And with Bipin Chandra also, not every chapter, only those chapter, I am giving you a complete flow chart of the topics which is important from post independence perspective. Just prepare those topics from that book. That's it. Nothing else is required. क्योंकि this is minimum. I am not saying कि इसी में से सब आ जाएगा. Obviously, I cannot take that guarantee ना. You कल को नहीं आया तो आप बोलोगे मैम आपने कहा था. तो guarantee तो UPSC की मैं किसी चीज के लिए नहीं ले सकती. But this is minimum that you can prepare. That much I can assure you. ठीक है? And you should prepare. That's the second thing which I am saying. Trust me, once you read this, you will get an idea of background of any issue. That's important also. Second thing, some content fodder would be prepared for essay writing. Third thing, if the question directly comes from post-independence, it's a win-win situation, and it will also help you in citing those examples to justify your arguments. So, in a way, post-independence can come handy in all these capacities, but not too much time needs to be devoted. There is one book, I've already told you, Bipin Chandra, India since independence, refer to that. Second, not all the chapters, I'll be giving you the flow chart. Second is Pradhan Mantri video documentary, which is already there, which you can watch. It's fun watching. बड़े अच्छी कहानियाँ, and the way the things are shown, it's quite interesting. So trust me, it will not be a waste of time. So let me give you the flow chart. So this is how you will be preparing yourself. क्योंकि अगर मुझे आपको सिलेबस दिखाना हो, just look at the screen. 2013 there were 5 questions, 10 marker each. 2016 there was 1 question. After that, before that, there was no question. तो मैं कोई false hopes नहीं दूंगी. But again, UPSC can any time change their pattern. ये उनका कोर्स है, post independence consolidation and reorganization within the country. That's it. तो इसीलिए I am giving you a detailed flow chart just to understand how to prepare this topic. एक बार के लिए हटा सकते हैं स्क्रीन. You must be thinking कि एक तरफ तो मैम ने कहा कुछ नहीं पढ़ना and there are so many topics which are given. Trust me, जब पढ़ने बैठोगे these topics are not very long. In fact, these are interesting stories. So there is nothing called padhana. It is more about collection of information which has happened in the past and arranging them in a proper manner. Nehruvian era, integration of princely state, linguistic reorganization. अब देखो linguistic reorganization तो society में भी पढ़ोगे. Official language issue you will be studying in society. Then Hindu code bill, obviously that is important. Then tribal consolidation, tribes, vulnerable sections. Anyway, you have to prepare for GS paper 2. Then foreign policy of Nehru. IR में वैसे भी पढ़ते हो. India-China war of 1962. You will be studying in order to understand India-China relations better. Then Shastri's era. All the challenges which were existing that time. Then Indo-Pak war of 1965 followed by Tashkent agreement. And then the slogan which he gave, Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan. Not much happened during his time because he did not survive. So Indira Gandhi's leadership period can be divided into 4 parts. If you look at these events, these are very small incidences. तो कोई बहुत ज़्यादा नहीं, but पता होना चाहिए. Bangladesh Liberation War is important. Why am I saying coalition politics? Because that was the emergence of coalition era, especially at state level. And there was a major split which happened in Congress. तो ये events पता होने चाहिए. Then Bangladesh Liberation War, this is important from the academic point of view. Then obviously this is important during this period, Gujarat unrest, Bihar unrest, Jai Prakash Narayan movement followed by emergency. This is important. 77 to 80, for the very first time Congress lost power at the center. But 80 again Indira Gandhi came to power. However, the last leg was followed by Assam crisis, important. Kashmir crisis, important. Punjab issue, very important. which was followed by Operation Blue Star and assassination of Indira Gandhi. Immediately after that, Rajiv Gandhi came to power. During Rajiv Gandhi, since it was the 100th year, 1885 में Congress बनी थी, 1985 में, so 1985 में it was the 100th year, so a lot of steps were taken for the development. Technological missions were there, Operation Blackboard, then obviously Ministry of Environment was created, women empowerment के लिए lot many things. So you should be aware of it. ठीक है. Apart from that, 3 significant incidences was Shah Banu case, Bofors scam and Sri Lankan Civil War. Sri Lankan Civil War again is very important from the academic point of view. Shah Banu is very important from academic point of view. But Bofors is important to understand the shift, the transition from Rajiv Gandhi to VP Singh government. Now post 1990s, since majority of the topics would be covered in your economy, will be covered in your polity. So here the important areas would be Babri Masjid demolition, Mandal Commission, Pokhran test and Kargil war. With Kargil war, the chronological aspect of post-independence would come to an end. You will be focusing on land reforms, that is miscellaneous topic. So you will be studying about land reforms. Within land reforms, you will be talking about cooperatives also. You will be talking about Bhudan, Gramdan movement. Green revolution from social capacity has to be understood, because green revolution, land reforms to certain extent you also study in economics and geography. However, in post-independence, it will be more from the social aspect and most importantly social movements. See, now farmer movement becomes very important in the backdrop of the protest which is happening, right? So farmers movement, women movement, they have asked the question already. Dalit movement, they have already asked. So environmental movement, farmers movement, women movement, Dalit movement, these are basic movements which you have to prepare. So they do tend to ask the question. Is that very clear? So this is how post-independence has to be prepared. Very quickly, I hope you are getting an idea that how it is supposed to be covered. Okay? I hope my intent is getting conveyed. Let's just look at those 5 questions. कुछ पढ़ना नहीं है, बस आपको सिर्फ इतना बताना है कि क्वेश्चन ऐसे ही आते हैं. Discuss the objectives of Bhudan Gramdan movement and their success. कुछ है ही नहीं इसमें. If you know, you know. Write a critical note on the evolution and significance of the slogan Jai Jawan Jai Kisan. कोई rocket science नहीं है. 4th question, analyze the circumstances which has led to Tashkent Agreement in 1966. Discuss the highlights of the agreement. If you've studied 1965 war, you know. Last, critically examine the compulsions which prompted India to play a decisive role in the emergence of Bangladesh. If you have studied Bangladesh Liberation War from academic perspective, you will not go wrong. Is that very clear for everyone? Is it making sense? Okay. Last thing. If any event has to be prepared, then how it has to be prepared. बस वो बता देती हूँ. Let us suppose you are preparing any war, like Bangladesh Liberation War or 1965 war. How will you prepare? First, background, or you can say premise. Then obviously there would be certain cause, but within every cause there is a precipitating factor, the factor which immediately leads to war. So there is always a precipitating factor. Then course of the event or any war. Consequence analysis. Background, premise, causes, precipitating factor. Precipitating factor मतलब the immediate factor. Although बहुत सारे factors होते हैं, but that immediate factor which has resulted into that incident or event. Then obviously course of event, what has happened during that event. Then obviously what has been the consequence and overall analysis. So if you keep these things in the back of your mind, then understanding that how in academic capacity it has to be prepared, it becomes easy. Is that very clear? So I hope things have fallen in place as far as society, social issues and post-independence is concerned. If you have any doubt, please let us know. And this is all from my side. And all I want to tell you is that make the most judicial utilization of your time, because time and tide wait for none. So never ever waste your time, and you need to understand कि बीता हुआ समय किसी के लिए वापस नहीं आता है. एंड मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंटली कि अगर आज हम अपने समय की कद्र नहीं करेंगे तो एक टाइम के बाद समय भी हमारी कद्र करना छोड़ देगा. आई एम सॉरी फॉर यूजिंग हिंदी, बट आई वांटेड टू टेल दिस because I totally believe there have been lot many incidences in our past also where we might have not, we have not taken our time seriously, where we thought that अभी तो बहुत time पड़ा है, कर लेंगे, अभी तो बहुत time है. टाइम कैसे बीत जाता है सच में नहीं पता चलता. तो टेक स्मॉल स्टेप्स एंड you will be studying ethics. There you will understand that there is a concept called emotional intelligence, right? And emotional intelligence says that you have to learn to control your emotions. Don't let your emotions overpower you, ठीक है? So have or become a person who is in a very balanced state. Try to, I know there's too much to ask for kids. You are kids, I mean 20, 21-year-old kids. So not much of wisdom is expected, and neither I will do that. So what I'm just trying to say that try to make yourself a better version of yourself every day. Try to improvise upon your performance every day. वो बोलते हैं ना बूंद बूंद से घड़ा भरता है. ये मत सोचो कि आज ही बिल्कुल बेस्ट पॉसिबल एस्पिरेंट बन जाओ या बेस्ट पॉसिबल ह्यूमन बीइंग बन जाओ, वो पॉसिबल नहीं है. टेक स्मॉल बेबी स्टेप्स. Success has no elevator. You have to take steps. Is that clear? So take those small steps and try to become a better version of yourself as compared to what you were yesterday. Is that clear? So on this note, I will conclude this session. I hope it has added some value to your preparation or has resolved some doubts that you have. And stay healthy, stay blessed, and all the very best for your preparation. Okay? Now the other faculty would be taking over.
So hi, very good very good afternoon to all of you, and very good afternoon to all who are watching and all who may watch in due course. So today is the session for the history, and I hope that most of you must have watched the world history session yesterday. So that history has so many portions, and you know that world history which was covered yesterday, and then ma'am covered before this session. Ma'am covered post-independence history. So my part would be related to the modern Indian history and also ancient medieval history and art and culture. So these three parts which I am the faculty of the Vision IS, and before saying anything, I must write my name on the board. So, Neeraj Rao, and I am faculty over here in Vision right from the inception of the classroom program. So from last 8 years, I'm taking this section of the history, which includes modern Indian history, ancient and medieval history, and then art and culture. So hopefully that if you join the program over here in the Vision IS, so we will meet. And since this session is for 2022, so hopefully that after April or May, when the vaccination is complete, so maybe that offline classes will happen and then there would be face-to-face interaction with you guys. So let's begin with this particular session of the history. And as you know, that this ancient medieval history, modern Indian history, and then art and culture. So these three sections, particularly the two sections, modern Indian history and art and culture, you will find these sections in prelims examination also and in mains exam also. So they are asked that this sections from questions from this section is asked in both the stages of the exam. And when it comes to the ancient and medieval, though specifically it is only mentioned in the prelim syllabus, but over the period what we have seen in the mains examination, that continuously they have asked at least one question from the ancient and medieval also. So just don't go by that what is mentioned in the syllabus. There are many hidden parts of the syllabus also. So today I'll be showing you the syllabus, and since the agenda is about how to prepare the history, uh, even without coaching. So obviously we will be discussing about the reference material, and it will be little exhaustive then. So today I'm going to tell you some more number of the books. Option is before you that what you want to choose then. So without wasting time, just start with the syllabus then. So first I will begin with the syllabus of the exam, because without discussing the syllabus we cannot discuss that what to study in the history. So, and there are few more things that which I have come up with, so I will share with you guys. So just wait 1 minute. इसको ऑन कर दो, ठीक है, प्रोजेक्टर. So in the prelims examination, as you must have seen yesterday's session also and today's session also, that it's not very clearly mentioned. It's not very clearly mentioned that what to see, what not to, that what to read, what not to read, and basically that very little bit of syllabus is given over there. So scope is there that syllabus can be elaborated, but not without the help of anybody who has the expertise in this section. So let's look at the syllabus of the prelims examination and for modern Indian history and ancient medieval and art and culture. So just look at this part of the syllabus. Just 1 minute. Look at this part of the syllabus. This first part, that history, that current events, I don't have concern with this one. So history of India and Indian national movement. Only this one sentence is mentioned about the history syllabus in the prelims examination. But we will have to break it down that what does it mean that history of India and Indian national movement. Then, so let me write it over here that what is mentioned, history of India, and second part of the syllabus, that is Indian national movement. So history of India and Indian national movement. Now, when it comes to history of India, so basically it is referring to right from the inception of the concept of this country, and we will have to go back to the ancient times. Then, so ancient times, so means that it will include the ancient, medieval, इसको बंद कर दो, medieval and modern. So, and the modern has this part also, Indian national movement. So I will refer to this part, I will explain this part later, but first look at the ancient, medieval and modern. And in this syllabus, they haven't mentioned art and culture, but it is implicit in the syllabus when you are reading the ancient history. So history includes the culture of that time. Then history includes the culture of that time, ancient times. And not only that history has the political part, it has the economy of that time. It mentions about the society during that period. It mentions about the religious practices during that period and cultural things which were there at that point of time. So this will include that in this history word itself is including the art and culture part. Then, so in ancient history, when it comes to the exam, so it starts from the prehistoric times. We will be referring to the prehistoric times in the history, in the ancient history, when human beings were evolving on the planet Earth. And then slowly the evolution evolution happened, civilization came, and in the case of the Indian subcontinent, the first civilization which came to picture was Indus Valley civilization. So civilizational things happened, and then urbanization started to happen. So many things happened. But meanwhile, these people, when they were evolving, so they were also coming up with some new technology, some new techniques, and some new innovations, constructions. So these constructions are what? The temples, then stupas, then sculptures. So these are the architectural or the art forms which are there in the ancient times. Moreover, the same things you will be referring in the medieval times and in modern. So modern I will talk about later. But ancient and medieval, so it will include, this part will include the art and culture of that time also. Not only the political history, economic history and social history, but also the art and architectural initiatives of that time. Moreover, how we can trace the history, that how we get to know about the ancient and medieval history because of the literature which was available at that point of time. The literature was the great source of information about the ancient and medieval history, so we need to refer to the literature also. So which also comes under the category of the this particular art and culture. So this part is mentioned. Now come to the next part. So modern history, when we talk about the modern history, so modern history, I will classify this into two parts. Then one is the Indian national movement and another would be the development which is referred as the modern. So generally, we say that 1600 onwards, some new kind of technological interventions were there. Humans were inspired with the seafaring activity and adventure. So this led to so many inventions, and then also you will be studying in the world history, Industrial Revolution. So Industrial Revolution was a paradigm shift in the entire history of the world. Then, so we say that with the Industrial Revolution and many other revolutions in the Europe part. So with many other revolutions in the Europe part, what happened? That paradigm shift was there, and this paradigm shift we refer as the modern age. Then, so in India also many European companies came to India, and these European companies, they came up with their own technology. They brought so many new things in India, and these European companies, the most important was the British East India Company. So when it came to India, so its initial phase or its initial period in India was about its own consolidation, expanding its business in India, trade and commerce. But slowly they acquired political functions in India. With the Battle of Plassey and then Battle of Buxar. So these all instances you will be reading in the history part. So the beginning, the first part of the modern history is about the entry of the Europeans and the developments in the India. What all kind of developments in India. But when we talk about the second part of the history, that is Indian national movement, so it is about the common feeling of the people of India that they are being exploited by the Britishers. Then, so they are being exploited by the Britishers and they are becoming the slaves of this Europeans. Then, so they are becoming slaves of this Europeans. Though in between 1757 to 1857, there were many small expressions of revolt against the Britishers, but it was not on a very large united front. But for the very first time, a very great revolt happened in 1857, where involvement of huge amount of masses participated in it. And though even revolt of the 1857, it did not cover the entire country, but large number of people participated from the North India and Central India. So this was the Great Revolt of 1857. Though it was unsuccessful in its attempt, but it was very successful in one thing, that it implanted the seed of nationalism among the Indians. So India, erstwhile India before 1857, it was a fragmented India because so many kings and kingdoms were there. In fact, when you will be reading that at the time of the 1947, that near about 565 princely states were there in India. So near about 565 princely states were there in India. So what was the case at the time of the 1857? I think that it must be more than 1,000 princely states were there in India. So there was nothing a concept like the nationalism or spirit of nationalism before 1857. People were belonging to the one dynasty or other kingdom, but for the very first time that common masses and all the public of the India, they started to feel that now they are being exploited by the Britishers and they are becoming the slaves of the Britishers. So that's how the spirit of the nationalism started. There were contributions of many people. For example, that many early nationalists were there who did the political awakening, political awareness then. So with this, the feeling of the nationalism started, and finally with the foundation of the Congress in 1885, the Indian national movement started. Then, so let's look at the second part of the syllabus. Then, second part of the syllabus, this syllabus which is mentioned elaborately in the mains stage. So in prelims, what is mentioned? History of India and Indian national movement. Now let's come to the second, that is the mains examination. Some clarity is given about this particular section of the modern Indian history. So just look at this one. So you can on it. So in the second part, that is syllabus in the mains examination, you can give me 1 minute so that I can just show you that what is there in the syllabus. So in mains examination, the syllabus is clearly defined. Then, so syllabus is clearly defined. For example, I'll come back to this particular art and culture part, but here look at the modern Indian history syllabus which is mentioned over here. So what they have done, that they have in the mains part, they have bifurcated the syllabus into the two parts. So you see that modern Indian history, the thing that I was saying to you over here, that modern Indian history, two parts. One is the modern developments, what happened in the beginning, and then after the freedom struggle. So you see that first part, that modern Indian history from about the middle of the 18th century. What is middle of 18th century? It is 1750 onwards. Then, so 1750 onwards, and this is also the time when British, two big imperialist power and two big European powers, British and French, they are starting, they have started fighting with each other in India. So they have started fighting with each other in India in Carnatic Wars, and then happened a very big event, that is Battle of Plassey in 1757. So they are asking that from the middle of the 18th century until the present, significant events, personality is an issue. So here they have mentioned that what they expect from you from this section, that significant event. So for example, I said that this Battle of Plassey, then there was this Battle of Vendée was, which was fought between the British and French. So that is one significant event. Then Battle of Buxar. After Battle of Buxar, Britishers got Diwani right in India. What is that Diwani right? Revenue collection rights in India. So revenue collection rights in India, particularly Bihar, Bengal and Odisha. So this is a significant event. Then when comes to the personality, so who are the important personality? So when you see from the perspective of the 1750 onwards, that perspective of the French from 1750 onwards, so French Governor Dupleix was important personality. Then when we see from the side of the Britishers, so then the British officer Robert Clive becomes the one of the very important personality. And then who in India? So this is also the time when many regional kingdoms started to emerge after the death of the Aurangzeb, and many regional kingdoms, powerful regional kingdoms, their emergence happened. For example, that in Bengal, Murshid Quli Khan, he founded autonomous state of Bengal. Then emergence of the Nizam of the Hyderabad. Then in Mysore, Tipu Sultan and his father Hyder Ali. Then in Marathwada area, Shivaji was already the contemporary of the Aurangzeb, but after his death, the sons and the lineage of the Shivaji was continued by his son Sambhaji and then Rajaram, and finally the rise of the Peshwas. So they are the one. So these personalities and issues related with them, that also we need to discuss, or you will be studying in this part. Moreover, this part also includes that not only the emergence of these regional kingdoms, but at the same point of time in these regional kingdoms, how Britishers started to interfere in the politics of the regional kingdoms, and moreover, how very cunningly, slowly, they consolidated their position in all the regional kingdoms. First, they captured completely Bengal, then they also side by side, they also increasing their influence in the Carnatic area. Then they came to Mysore. By 1799, they completely captured Mysore. Then Marathwada area, Marathwada area was finally annexed by the Britishers by 1819, and then came Punjab. The episode ended in 1849. So the Britishers who started their story from the Bengal and Carnatic simultaneously, and slowly they became the lords of the near about 70 to 75% territory of the India. So this was a process which started in 1757, and by 1849, it was almost complete. Then, so they became the rulers of India by, very firmly rulers of India by 1849. So this part would be over here. And issues, so issues, you will be seeing that what all kind of issues were there, issues with the Marathas, then issues with the Mysore. So this part of the syllabus will cover what I said to you. Now come to the second part of the syllabus. Second part of the syllabus, freedom struggle and its various stages. Now, the very first thing that they have identified, that they have said to you, freedom struggle. So, this part of the history they are saying freedom struggle means that the consciousness has happened among the Indians, that nationalism, the feeling of the nationalism has started among the Indians. That's why they want to become free. And there were roles of the many people in making people aware about their rights and how they are being discriminated by the Britishers, or how their rights are usurped by the Britishers. So various stages. So the first stage. So first stage of this, that so many stages are there. So first stage was called as the moderate stage, in which the Indian leaders, so in which the Indian leaders were not going kind of in a mass movement manner, or they were not organizing protest or dharna, this all kind of thing. But what they were doing, that they were sending prayers, petition, and they were following the constitutional agitation method to fulfill their demands. But when it didn't seem to be fulfilling their demands, so some of the people from the Indian nationalist, they were so fed up with this kind of policy that from 1905 a new phase of the national struggle started, which was little bit of extremist. I will not say extremist, but little bit of aggressive. And this was the Swadeshi movement. And the decision to start the Swadeshi movement, it was, the original reason was the partition of the Bengal. So these all things you will be studying in the history. I'm not telling you that what happened, what event happened, but just I'm giving you a brief idea that what your syllabus means. So the first stage was the moderate, but second stage onwards, from the Swadesi onwards, they started to emphasize on the Indian nationalist leader. They started to emphasize on passive resistance. They started to emphasize on self-reliance. आजकल हम लोग बात कर रहे हैं ना आत्मनिर्भर भारत. So बोल सकते हैं कि trace कर सकते हैं from Swadesi movement where the self-reliant Atma Shakti, development of the Atma Shakti was discussed. So this is how that various stages, and then other stages of the national movement, the personalities like Annie Besant, Tilak, their personality, their movement, home rule movement, that is one stage. Another stage of the Indian freedom struggle is the Gandhian phase. With the arrival of the Gandhi, there is a paradigm shift in the national movement, because he is emphasizing on the values of the non-violence, truth and non-violence, and then he started his campaign. So he, in his own campaign, there were so many movements like NCM, Roulette Satyagraha, then small experiments at the Champaran, Kheda, Ahmedabad, and civil disobedience movement, and the final one, Quit India movement. So these all stages you will be looking in the second part of the history. Moreover, they are asking important contributors. So in this period, who are the important contributors? So they are basically asking about the important nationalist leaders like Dadabhai Nehruji, like Gopal Krishna Gokhale, Mahatma Gandhi, Jawaharlal Nehru, Sardar Patel, Subhash Chandra Bose, B.R. Ambedkar. So there are the contributors and their contributions. So what was the contribution of the Bose? What was the contribution of the Ambedkar? So this part. So it means that you need to read about the personalities also and their contributions in the Indian national movement. Then, and they are also asking from the different parts of the country. So they are saying to you that while reading, your approach must be inclusive, that you don't read only from the people who were there in the North and Western India, because there was so much of participation from the North and Western India, but from all the parts of the country. And here, all the parts of the country will also include the Pakistan. For example, people like the Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan, so Rani Gedilliu. So you need to mention them also. The other people, that some people from the South India, so Nambiar, then you need to talk about the Subramanya Bharti. So many people that Subramaniam, not Swami. So these all people you need to read and you need to know about their contribution. So this is what is mentioned in the main syllabus. So you get a fair idea that what is expected, is expected from that particularly that what you need to read and how you can do the value addition in your modern Indian history preparation. So after this, I will be giving you some ideas about not ideas, but I need to discuss some things related to the trend of the exam and basically the number of the questions from this section. So here I have combined three things, that is ancient history, medieval history, and then art and culture, and also modern Indian history. So just to give you a little bit of idea, since you have decided to start the preparation, so you must have beforehand information that how many questions are asked from one section in the prelim examination. So trend analysis of the prelims examination, I have not included the 2020. I'll tell you what is there, that number of the question. So you see that 2011 was the very first year when this CSAT pattern of the exam started. Then means 100 question in GS paper 1 and 80 questions in CSAT paper 2. So 2011 it started, and number of the questions in this section, ancient, medieval, and plus modern Indian history and art and culture. So 100 में से कितने questions? So in 2011, 15. Then you see 2012, 19 question from these three sections, 13, 16, then 22 in 2014. So it makes near about 22% of the paper from the history section only. Then you see 16, 17, 15, 21, 16, and this year 2020, it was 17 question. So average कितना ले सकते हो? Average you can make 16 to 17 question you can always expect from the history part. So 16 to 17 question you can always expect from the history part, which will be the modern Indian history, and major chunk would be from the modern Indian history and art and culture. There are 1 or 2 questions. Some years they do ask for 4 questions, but otherwise 2 questions you can expect from the ancient medieval, 2-3 questions from the ancient medieval, and rest of the question, 13-14 questions you can expect from the modern and art and culture. The general trend in art and culture is average they are asking 5 questions, and general trend in the modern Indian history, average they are asking 9 questions. So 9 questions average from the modern Indian history, 5 question average from the this particular art and culture. So 9 and 5, 14, and 3 questions average from the ancient and medieval. So this is the breakup. If you want, I would write. So MIH average 9, ancient medieval average 3, and art and culture average 5. So average comes around 17. So 17% of your paper is from this section. Not just prelims examination, but also look at the trend in the mains examination. So trend in the mains examination. So as I said to you that mains exam में जैसा syllabus में mentioned है that MIH modern Indian history is there, the 2 parts of the modern Indian history, and art and culture is mentioned. But I said to you in the beginning itself that art and culture comes through the route of the ancient and medieval. Then, so comes through the route of the ancient and medieval. So there is no big difference between the ancient, medieval, and art and culture. In fact, you will have to read, revise whatever you have studied during the prelims preparation in the ancient and medieval. So you must be revising it in the mains exam also. So let's look at the number of the questions. So GS paper 1. And GS paper 1, generally how many questions are there in the GS paper 1? 20 questions they are asking. But 2013, since it was the first year, so 25 questions were there in the paper. But then onwards, they started to ask 20 questions in the GS paper 1. So first year 2013, out of 25, 8 questions from the history, art and culture. Good chunk. Then 2014, from here onwards, now the question number is 20. यहाँ तक 25 था, ये out of 25 8 है. Here you see 2014 20 out of 28. So means 40% of your GS paper 1 is history and art and culture. Then 15-7, there was this trend that 2016-17, 16 and 17 they asked little less number of the questions. So less number of the questions, and 2018 and 19 also less number of the questions, but expecting at least 7 questions this year. Then, so, and here, listen to this part. I have not included world history, which is part of the, you must have seen yesterday itself, that world history part. So you can add at least 2 questions from the world history in this, and 1 question at least from the post-independence, then in this. So that comes around more than 50% of the paper, GS paper 1 is history, including world history and including post-independence. So I hope that now you are getting fair idea that how many questions are asked from this section. Then I have not seen the yesterday session, so मुझे तो तैयारी नहीं करनी है तो मैंने नहीं देखा. अब तुम्हें करनी है तो तुमने देखा होगा. So I don't know that somebody has discussed about the cutoff or not, but I have come up with this cutoff list also कि तुम्हें fair idea हो जाए that क्या expect करता है UPSC तुमसे, and then how much that what is the trend in the cutoff, particularly in the prelims and the mains examination. So very quickly I will discuss this with you guys. So let's look at the cutoff marks in the prelims examination, and I have incorporated it from the 2013 till 2018. I will write what was there in 2019 also and 2020 also. So see that these 2 years, that 2013 and 2014, the cutoff for the general category was little higher, 241 and 205. It's not because that 200 और इसमें जो आ रहा है, it's not because that one paper GS का paper में बहुत questions थे. No, a CSET paper was also included for the reckoning of the cutoff or for deciding the cutoff. From 2015 onwards, only GS paper 1, you know that, I hope you know that from only GS paper 1 is the basis of deciding the cutoff, and GS paper 2 you just need to clear. Then means CSAT paper you just need to clear, you need to get 33% of marks. And believe me, people started to take it so lightly CSAT paper ki out of 200 you only need to score 66. This year, I have seen many examples that people are doing good in the GS paper 1, and in CSAT paper, they were getting something somewhere around 58, 60 marks, 61 marks, and including, let me tell you, including people from IIT, my own students from the classroom, very bright students. They didn't clear this year prelims because they were knowing, they said to me that they flunked, that they scored very badly in CSAT paper 2. So you don't need to take it lightly. ध्यान रखना इस बात को, that CSAT paper को भी lightly मत लेना, because UPSC, what it has done earlier in the beginning, when the second paper was not used for deciding the cutoff, so they asked easy questions. But nowadays, the paper can be compared with the management type of the question or SBI PO level questions. Then, so that also you need to be careful about. So from 2015 onwards, only GS. Now you see the cutoff. So 2015 onwards, 107. कितना परसेंट हुआ 200 का? It is near about 53%. Then 116, little higher. Then so little higher, that is 58%. So here 53, here 58%, then 52%, 105 in 2017, 2018 98, that is 49, 2019, what was the cutoff? 98, then 49%, and then this year 2020, though the cutoff is not available to you, it would be 96. It would be 96. So how much you need to score in the GS paper 1? कितना? 49%. उससे ज़्यादा तो नहीं चाहिए. So 49% अगर जो पिछले 2 सालों में तुमने पाया होता, so you would have cleared the exam. Or maximum. What is maximum? 58%. Then so 58% that year 2016 paper was little bit easier in 2016, and that's why cutoff was little higher. But otherwise, you don't need to score out of 200, you don't need to score 140 to clear the prelims examination. Then, so you need to be very practical. What happens many a times that the people, once you see that, let me tell you about the history subject itself, this year's paper. So in this year paper, they asked some questions. UPSC has asked some questions which are not easily, these informations were not easily available in the mainstream books which are there in the market. So there would be so many people that for that one information which UPSC have asked all the year, all this 2020 and 2021, they will be searching for the book, and then for that one information in whichever book that is mentioned, they will read the entire book and they will waste their time. So see that UPSC history is too vast, and even if you read a 2500 pages book, you cannot be sure that UPSC would be asking from that book only. So that is a myth. Then that is a myth that if you have studied a one book of 2500 pages and you are sure that UPSC will ask from that book only, so that's a myth and that needs to be busted. So don't run after those books where some kind of details are there which are not available in the mainstream books. Moreover, when UPSC is asking the questions to you, so suppose that 10 question hai history ka, modern Indian history ka, so obviously 2 questions, they are going to make it very difficult for you. But even in this situation, if you are able to correct 8, or even if in this situation you are able to correct 7, so 70% to correct kar rahe ho na? And how much you need to score to clear the exam? Then applies to all the other subjects, but I'm talking about the modern Indian history. So how much you need to score? You just need to score somewhere around 60%. Then so somewhere around 60%. So if you are scoring 60%, or you must score 70%, so you will be comfortably clearing not only the prelims examination but also the mains examination. Sorry, that not only the prelims examination, civil services prelims examination, but also the forest services preliminary examination. So both the cutoffs you'll be clearing if you are little bit practical in this end. I have seen people coming to the classes, and then also last 8-year experience I have seen that people are, they are not satisfied with just books which are really very helpful and which will help them in clearing the exam. They want a very big list of the books, and what they will end up, that rather than becoming the district collector, they end up becoming the book collector. This is what is the reality which I have seen. So you need to be, today also I'll be telling you good number of the books, but this good number of the books would be the basic books. And believe me, when you are sticking to the basic books, you don't need to refer to the guide books for the preparation of the modern Indian history then or art and culture. So there are so many guide books available in the market. You don't need to run after these so many books. And market is always very enticing. When you enter into the market, so you will see that, are ye material pada hai, wo material pada hai. So you will end up buying and you are keeping it on your table, and then it's humanly not possible to read all the material at the same point of time, and you will feel depressed that I have bought this book, I have bought this material, I am not studying. Even in this situation, if your preparation is sufficient, but you are bogged down by your own endless list of the books. So my first suggestion and request to you would be that try to minimize the number of the books, and whenever any topper talk is there, if you happen to interact them in person, so they will tell you one thing, that rather than reading 10 books one time, what they have done, they have read one book 10 times. That's the key to success. Then, so if you read less number of book, more number of time, so that's the key to success. So इस एग्जाम की खासियत ये है कि इसमें PhD नहीं करनी है. You don't need to do any specialization in this exam. In fact, it's a generalistic exam. Then, so general studies का मतलब होता है कि generally स्पेशल स्टडी नहीं चाहिए तुमको, जनरल स्टडी चाहिए. सो जनरल नॉलेज शुड बी देयर विथ यू. देन सो डोंट रन आफ्टर डूइंग द स्पेशलाइजेशन इन दिस एनी ऑफ द सब्जेक्ट्स और एनी ऑफ द टॉपिक्स विच इज मेंशन्ड इन द सिलेबस. नाउ सो दिस प्रीलिम्स कट ऑफ ये तो देख लिया. अब थोड़ा सा मेंस की भी बात कर लेते हैं. एंड दिस पीपीटी सीन इट इज ऑलरेडी देयर ऑन यूट्यूब, तो तुम लोग चेक कर लेना दैट ये बाकी कैटेगरीज के भी कट ऑफ इसमें है, वो देख लेना तुम लोग, ठीक है. सो बट आई विल रिक्वेस्ट दैट नो मैटर विच एवर कैटेगरी यू बिलोंग, ऑलवेज टारगेट फॉर द कट ऑफ the जनरल कैटेगरी, ठीक है. यू विल फील गुड अबाउट. सो नाउ कम टू द नेक्स्ट पार्ट ऑफ द, सीधे मैं इंटरव्यू पे आ गया. ओके, सो दिस इज हाँ इंटरव्यू. सो इंटरव्यू मतलब मेंस एग्जाम में कट ऑफ फॉर गेटिंग इंटरव्यू कॉल. सो इन मेंस एग्जाम कट ऑफ फॉर गेटिंग इंटरव्यू कॉल 2013 पहला साल था. बहुत अभी तुरंत यूपीएससी नए सिलेबस के साथ आया था, तो थोड़ा कम था जनरल 564. सो 564 was the cutoff out of how much? I hope you must be knowing 1750. So out of 1750, cutoff was 564. Then 2014 you have 678, a jump of 110, near about a jump of 114. So 114 marks, and you see that for 2 years it is stabilized at the same level. Then from 2016 onwards 1787, and now it is hovering around 800. So 800 number पाना है कट ऑफ के लिए. Then so out of 1750, if you get somewhere around 800 these days, so you are going to get the interview call. How much is this? 800 out of 1750. मेरी mathematics अच्छी है, बुरी नहीं है. So it will come around again 46 to 47%. Then so here also you need to score 46 to 47% to get the interview call. Then to get the interview call, पहले तो और भी कम था. So see that you can't get, even if you are getting 55%, you are a topper. 58% rank 1. Then 58% rank 1, 55% you are under 10. Then so, and overall 46%, so you are closer to the selection. So this is how you must be preparing. Once you are preparing, so don't target that complete knowledge, or target क्या, ऐसा दिमाग में भी मत रखना कि सब कुछ रट जाना है, सब याद होगा तभी सिलेक्शन होगा. ऐसा नहीं होता है, ठीक है. और सब कुछ याद नहीं होता है. सो यू कैन नॉट रिमेंबर एवरीथिंग. देन सो लुक एट दिस पर्टिकुलर कट ऑफ, एंड देन you can operate according to the same. Now ये भी देख लेना, this I'm not discussing rest of the part, but you can see since it would be available to you, so you can refer it later on also. Then after this one, final selection. So final selection. So out of 2050, you see that 2018 का देख लेते हैं, बाकी तुम लोग देख लेना. So 2050, 982. Again, 49%, somewhere around 48, 49%. You are in the list. Then, so you are in the list. So you need to be very practical while preparing. And these things will assure you that it's not a very difficult exam. But what is required in this exam, that coherent study, and you need perseverance, you need patience, and at the same point of time, hard work accompanied with the smart work. I will not say that only वो अंधभक्त वाली hard work नहीं करनी है. With smart work, you can clear this exam. Definitely you can clear this exam. So it's not one of the toughest exam. When it comes to the toughest exam and nature of the question, so definitely I'll say that it is IITs. Then, but this exam demands efforts from your side. Then, so it demands efforts from your side, and if there are efforts and perseverance, so then definitely you are going to clear. And I have hell lot of examples from my own friends and family, that people who were not even very good in their graduation class 10th May, 12th May, somebody got 45% in class 10th, and then in intermediate examination also 55%, and then graduation 52%, and the rank was 9th. So yes, I'm not telling you the name, but this is the reality. So what you have studied in your previous schooling years or the graduation, that doesn't matter in this exam. Then what matters, that when you decide to start the preparation, when you decide to jump into the preparation, you must be very much disciplined. Then, and when एक caution दूंगा, when you will be coming to the market, since this time you are preparing from home and then you are seeing all the things online. So इसका एक फायदा है, that once you are land up in Delhi or any such examination center, so there are many babas and babis then who will discourage you from कि तुम्हारा तो नहीं होना है भैया, तुम्हारी दाल नहीं गलेगी, you have this much percentage, so they will discourage you, and they will tell you that कि वो तो दारू पी के भी prelims exam clear कर लेते हैं. So this type of examples would be there, but they will discourage you. But you are safeguarded from these all kind of things once you are preparing online. In fact, this is the best thing to do. Then that when you are preparing online, you are just away from these all kind of distractions. And believe me, it doesn't matter that how much you have scored in your previous exams or in your schools and grades. If you do the hard work, and if you have a guru, if you have your mentor, a good kind of mentor, so definitely you are going to clear. I can, अगर थोड़ा और time होता तो मैं बहुत सारे examples clear तुमसे share करता. But let's leave something when you join the classes. So now another thing I'll tell you, that बहुत लोग ये पूछते हैं कि first attempt में clear होगा या नहीं होगा, और how many attempt it is required. So let me be very clear. I have seen many of my friends, many of my close friends, and then students also, many of them clearing in the very first attempt, even when they were not very sure. They themselves were so circumspect about themselves that ki clear hoga ki nahi hoga, but they cleared the exam. Then they were surprised on their selection. Moreover, the general and the practical thing, practical advice which I'm telling you, exam jab tayari karne aana, you must have the patience, because it may take 2 years or 3 years. And the best attempt, generally what I have seen, the best attempt of students is the second attempt. Done. And till third attempt, they also keep their, if they are reaching till the stages of the interview in the second attempt, so third attempt is also one of the best attempt. But from there onwards, if you are planning for the 5-year plan, so then third year ke baad, the enthusiasm and then all the zeal for the preparation, it starts to go down. Then, so try to prepare, try to clear exam in very first 2-3 years, and don't make 5-year plan. But इतना पेशेंस होना चाहिए कि 2 साल लग सकता है और 3 साल भी लग सकता है. सो इतना पेशेंस लेके आना एग्जाम में. एंड दिस इज नॉट अ एग्जाम वेयर यू विल बिकम द मास्टर ऑफ एवरीथिंग इन जस्ट 1 year. इट नीड्स rigorous preparation. Then so rigorous preparation, and then what I said to you, that rigorous efforts. So this is the one part. Now let's come to the रेफरेंस मटेरियल. सो रेफरेंस बुक के पहले मैं कुछ और भी बताना चाहूंगा क्लास के बेनिफिट्स. सो लेट मी शेयर सम क्वेश्चंस विद यू दैट हाउ यू विल बी अप्रोचिंग द क्वेश्चंस. कैन यू पुट इट ऑफ फॉर 1 minute? So I will share some questions and how you'll be approaching these questions. So generally, and the difference between the UPSC examination and the other examinations which are conducted, that administrative examinations which are conducted in India. So for example, that when we see the state PCS examinations, particularly in North India, many of you must be from North India. So these states like the UP, Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, and then Bengal, Rajasthan, these all areas. So when you see the paper, they do ask very factual question, and history is a subject more of a fact. Then so more of a fact, so they ask type of the question you are bewildered that अरे यार ये तो कहाँ से आया. Then इसके लिए कौन सा किताब पढ़ोगे? But that's not the case with the UPSC. UPSC is not fact oriented body, and in fact that even in the history, even in the art and culture, they do ask questions if where you apply your mind, you can crack the question and you can easily arrive at the answer. So I will tell you one example, one or two examples, some questions with which it will be clear to you that what kind of questions UPSC asks. Though I don't have the scope to share so many questions with you, but I will be sharing at least some questions. So let me write that one question which was asked, I think in 2014 or 15 prelims examination. So what was this question? Question was that which of the following, let me write it. So which of the following is a sun temple? Then, so which of the following is a sun temple? Then option 1 was, it was written Arsavalli. Then 2, Amarkantak. 3, Omkareshwar. Now, the combination. So, ABC. So, A, 1, 2, 3. B, 2, 3. C, 1 only. And D, 1 and 3. Now, let's have a discussion on this question, that how you will be solving this question. So now it may seem to you that this becomes very difficult for all of us, that how come we can remember so many temples in India, that so many temples in India, हमारे तो घर गली चौराहे बगल बगल में temple है. Then so you cannot remember near about lakhs and lakhs of temples. Then so it becomes very difficult to remember these all kind of things. And even the popular temples, when we talk about the popular temples, near about 1,000 popular temples are there in India. Then so more than 1,000 popular temples are in India. So it is impossible to remember these all things. And if you are going to have a list of the temples and then start remembering them, that is a very foolish attempt that you will be doing. So how you will be solving this kind of question, this type of the question? Now, you don't know about the Arsavalli, perfectly fine. You don't know about the Amarkantak, perfectly fine. But you don't, even if you don't know about the Omkareshwar, that is also perfectly fine. Even in this situation, you can mark a right answer. How come? The word Om. दिमाग लगाना है, ठीक है? So Om, which god has the reference of Om? Who is Om? Lord Shiva. So भगवान शिव का मंदिर उनके नाम से ही तो होगा. So you can be confirmed that since Om is mentioned, then so it is a Shiva temple. You got that? Even if you haven't studied, कुछ भी नहीं पढ़ा है तब भी चलेगा. So even if you haven't studied that this is Om का मंदिर, Om means भगवान शिव का मंदिर, so then you can arrive at answer. ये क्या नंबर है? 3. This is the number 3. Wherever 3 is there in this list, cut it. Cut it, cut it, cut it. Now you have the answer. One only. Arsavalli. Many times people do emphasize that elimination method, but elimination method के लिए दिमाग का application जरूरी है, ठीक है? So when you will be applying your mind, you will arrive at the answer. You don't need to mug up so many things in this exam. This is one myth which also needs to be busted. So generally people feel that कि history subject है तो बहुत याद करना है, बहुत रटना है, रट्टाफिकेशन के बिना कुछ होगा ही नहीं. That you need to do the memorization and mugging up so many times. That without that history is not possible. But UPSC is an exam which always asks this kind of questions where it gives you scope to apply your mind and arrive at the answer. Then, so I do have an example from the environment ecology also. वो नहीं share करूँगा. वहाँ पे भी दिमाग लगा के तुम कर सकते हो. But this is what is there. So they have asked. Now I will share one more question with you. So I hope you understood this, that बहुत सारे मंदिर याद करने की जरूरत नहीं है. So this is one question. Then now one more question I'll share with you, and यहाँ पे I will talk about some strategic fact kind of thing. So let me write the question first. Sorry. So in ancient times, who used to write chronicles? I hope you understand what is chronicle. मतलब जो timeline के साथ history. Then so who used to write chronicles? Though I have written the essence of the question, meaning यही था question का. When you will see in the paper, so थोड़ा elaborate होगा. This is 2016 question. So in ancient time, who used to write chronicles? What all options were there? So let me write options. Option number 1 was Shramana. Option 2, Agrahar. Then option 3, Parivrajak. And option 4, Magad. Not Magad, Magad. So these 4 were there. These 4 options. Now you needed to identify that ABC भी कर सकते हो. मैंने 1, 2, 3 लिख दिया है. So this is A, B, C, D. Now, so here I need to talk about, first I told you that application, how you'll be applying your mind, and then you can go after the elimination. ठीक है? So ये word इतना popular हो चुका है कि सब लोग बोलते हैं elimination. I will say that application of the mind. Then, so now this is about the strategic fact. This question is about the strategic fact. Then, so what is the strategic fact? That in history there are some facts. Then you don't need to remember all the facts, but there are some facts which you need to remember, which you need to memorize. Then so these strategic facts are the ones, with the help of these strategic facts you can solve the questions. And in 2016 nobody knew exactly that what would be the answer of this one. Everybody was confused. But here also, if you know those strategic facts, so strategic facts, so you can arrive at the answer. So for example, that I was just reading your, so use little ink. So okay, so I will be using that some other ink like that. I'm using 3-4 ink. I'm trying that it must be visible to you. So now listen, whenever you will be reading will be there in the classes. For example, that my own classes when I'm teaching art and culture. So these all are the terms. These terms are what I classify as the strategic. For example, that Shramana. When I'm teaching Buddhism, this is a word which very often I use in the Buddhism. Then this is the word which I very often I use in the Buddhism and Jainism. So in Buddhism and Jainism, Shramana and Parivrajak, which I use very frequently, and it's not that I use, but whenever you will be reading NCERT, you will come across these words. So Shramana was a tradition. let me tell you, it's a strategic fact. Very often it would be repeated in the Buddhism part, and also the religious movement in the 6th century BC. So in this part, very often these two words would be repeated, and बहुत बार ऐसा होता है ना कि that one word is getting repeated in the course of the time, so you remember. So that is the strategic fact. So this Shramana was the tradition of the reform movement in the end of the Vedic period. So that was a anti-Vedic or the reform movement, and two branches of the Shramana were the Jainism and Buddhism. So you will get to know once you are studying the Buddhism and Jainism. Then another strategic fact is the Parivrajak. Parivrajak meaning, it's a Pali word, and the meaning of this word was the homeless wanderer. Then, so Buddha, when he left his home at the age of 29, he became a Parivrajak. Same way, Mahavir, he also left his home and he became a Parivrajak. आजकल के टाइम पे कोई घर छोड़ता है तो हम उसको आवारा बोलते हैं, ठीक है? But at that point of time, this term was the Parivrajak. I'm not saying that Buddha and Jaina were the avara then, but they left their home for the greater purpose. So the homeless wanderer were the Parivrajak. Now, Agrahara, when I'll be teaching, or whichever book you are reading, so you will read that in NCRT of the ancient history, in Gupta period, you'll read that this was a kind of a land grant, जो ब्राह्मण को दिया जाता था, which was granted to the Brahmin. So these three facts you will be studying in the books which I'll be referring to you, or NCRTs. If you are reading the NCRTs, so you will come to know about these strategic facts. So the other method of arriving at the answer, you have studied so many times Shramana. तुमको पता है इसका क्या meaning है? You know what is Agrahara? It is a land grant. So Shramana is a tradition. ठीक है? It was a tradition. Then another is the Agrahara. Agrahara was the land grant. Land grant. And Parivrajak was what? Homeless wanderer. Homeless wanderer. So Parivrajak was homeless wanderer. So now you know the meaning of these three words. Once you are reading the NCRT, you know the meaning of these three words. So what is left that you don't know? Magad. That's your answer. This is the way. And let me tell you, in 2016 when this question came, many students, they started searching here and there that ये मागध mention कहाँ है भैया, कौन से पेज पे, किसके किताब में mention है. कभी किसी ने इंटरनेट पे लिख दिया that on page number 234 of the Romila Thapar Early India, it is mentioned. I also looked at the page. The page is that particular page of the Romila Thapar. So much of information is there in that page, and in just one line it was mentioned that Magad were the people who used to write chronicles in the ancient time. Nothing extra. And you know that Romila Thapar book which I'm mentioning, it's near about 800 pages book. And 800 pages book, or ek page pe, on one page, so very small font is there, near about 250 words are there. So you cannot run after entire book for just one information. That near about 90% chances are there that when you come across a question in the UPSC which may seem difficult to you, have patience, try to break the parts of the question, read each section very carefully, and try to think that kahin padha hai tumne, what is the meaning of this word, then you can arrive at the answer. I hope you are understanding. So I cannot share so many things, so many questions with you. And there are a few things left, because once you join the course, so obviously we'll be discussing those things with you, and so many other methods would also be discussed, but I just wanted to highlight this part, that how you'll be approaching the exams. It's not just about that you need to clear this myth that UPSC is about the memorization, or history in the UPSC is about memorization. No. You need to remember some strategic facts, but not everything. Then one more concern which I need to address at this point of time, that many times people are concerned about, sir, do we need to remember the exact dates? Since history subject, so many dates are there. So when you look at the UPSC previous year papers, UPSC is not hell-bent on the dates. Then you don't need to remember dates, but what I'll say, periods you need to remember. For example, that Delhi Sultanate, though 1206 to 1526. Then period of the slave dynasty, 1206 to 1290. So near about, you don't need to remember exactly 1290, but you, when you are reading, so apne dimag mein aisa idea rakho that 1206 to 1290, near about 80 years. that these people were there. So a rough idea you keep in your mind, and that's how you will be remembering these things. Exact date is not to be remembered in the history, particularly when you are going for the civil services examination. But same thing doesn't apply to the state PCS examination. Different approaches there, where there you need to remember the dates, but civil services में नहीं ऐसे जाना है, ठीक है? So don't be too much concerned about remembering the dates. Now, so apart from the dates, so now come to the, I didn't mention that art and culture syllabus with you. एक बार art and culture syllabus mention कर लेने दो, and then after I'll tell you the books that you need to refer. Then, so, हाँ. So give me a minute. So give me a minute that I'll show you the art and culture syllabus. उसको देख लो थोड़ा सा, that in mains part what is mentioned in the art and culture syllabus. So what is mentioned in the art and culture syllabus, and then I'll share the reference books with you. So I hope that you all are ready to be in the, that start with the UPSC preparation in online mode. And in my view, this is the best thing to do. That online you are at your home, and you have the comfort of the home, and at the same point of time you are away from the distractions, and this is the best time to start. And moreover, I do feel that this since you are starting for the 2022, but 2021, if somebody is going to give exam in 2021, this is the best year, because I do feel that many people have left the preparation, or they have just put it on abeyance. So this is the best time that you can go with. And moreover, work from home is also there. So online is the best mode to go with. So let's look at this syllabus of the art and culture. एक बार इसको देख लो. So Indian culture in prelims, what you have seen, no mention of the syllabus. Then, but here that in the mains part, they have mentioned clearly, Indian culture will cover the salient aspect of the art forms. So I'm just elaborating what art forms they are expecting from you. So art forms, let me write. Then second part, they have mentioned literature and architecture from ancient to modern times. So art forms, then literature and architecture from ancient to modern times. Then, so this is what is the syllabus. Again, you look at the syllabus, I'll just put it off in a minute. So Indian culture will cover the salient aspect of the art forms, literature, architecture, and architecture from ancient to modern times. Let's deconstruct this part. So let's deconstruct this part. So in art forms, what all things are there in the art forms? So let me write what you need to read in the art forms. So for example, classical dances, art forms, what all things are there? Classical dance, इसको बंद कर दो. Classical music, classical dance, classical music. Then you have painting, theater. There are many other forms also. Folk forms में, let's further divide: music, dance, puppetry. So this we can keep under the category of the art forms. Then literature में क्या आएगा? So in literature, Sanskrit literature, you have Sanskrit literature, the mother of many Indian languages. Then you have Pali, Prakrit literature, from which the association of Buddhism and Jainism is there. Then we have the literature from the South India, Tamil literature, Kannada, Telugu, Malayalam literature, Odia literature. So this is talking about the literature, but most important in this section would be the Sanskrit literature. So they are talking about the Sanskrit literature, and Sanskrit literature will include both. That one is the classical literature like the novels, dramas and everything, but one is the Hindu religious literature also, and the religious literature of the Buddhism and Jainism in Sanskrit. So Sanskrit literature, then the categories of the Sanskrit literature, then we have Pali and Prakrit literature, Pali and Prakrit. So they have the relation with the Buddhism and Jainism, Pali and Prakrit literature. Then we need to talk about the Tamil, that is Sangam literature. So Sangam literature, this part, if you want to start the preparation and if you want to read this section, so this is one very important part, Sangam literature. In fact, questions from the Sangam literature not only asked in the prelims examination but also in the mains examination. And Sanskrit is also equally important in both the stage. Pali Prakrit equally important in both the stage. Then other literature will include some of the classical literatures like Telugu, Kannada and Malayalam and Odia. So these are the classical literature of India. You don't need to go beyond the classical literature. See that I cannot define over here that what is the classical literature or classical language, but this is something that these languages which I have written, Sanskrit, Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, Malayalam, including Odia, these are the classical literature of India, classical languages of India. So at least this much you need to read in the literature part. Then when it comes to architecture, so architecture from ancient to modern times. So ancient में, so कहाँ से start करोगे architecture में? Let me write it over here. So in architecture, so if I'm writing architecture here, so in the ancient, what you need to read? So ancient में देख लो that what all type of architecture. So one of the finest or the beginning of the architecture in the ancient time is the Indus Valley civilization. Then you need to talk about the Maurya architecture. So Maurya art, Maurya, then post-Maurya, Maurya, post-Maurya. So post-Maurya, after the Mauryas, then particularly Indus Valley civilization, you need to study those town planning, those sculptures and everything. In Maurya, stupa construction, very important. The pillars which were there in the Maurya period, you need to read, and the cave construction in the Maurya period. Then in post-Maurya, what is very important? The sculptures of Mathura, Gandhar and Amravati. So that is very important in the post-Maurya that you will be studying. Then after comes in the ancient Gupta period, and you know, what is the trademark of the Gupta period? It is temple architecture. So temple architecture you will be covering in the Gupta period, and then combinedly after the Gupta, South Indian architecture. So South Indian architecture will also include the temple architecture. So basically temple architecture you are reading over here in the Guptas and South Indian architecture. So that is the architecture of the ancient times. Now come to the medieval times. So come to the medieval times. So in medieval times, architecture, so Indo-Islamic architecture. We call it Indo-Islamic architecture. And basically this Indo-Islamic architecture has two features, the two parts. One is the architecture of the Delhi Sultanate and another is the architecture of the Mughals. Then, so we can classify it into the two categories. So one is Delhi Sultanate, and another would be the Mughals. So you need to read these all things, and also some regional kingdoms which were there at this point of time in the medieval. For example, Vijayanagar. So Vijayanagar is also known for the temple architecture. Then, so that also you will be reading over here. Then, in fact, that temple architecture of Vijayanagar will be covered over here, but otherwise it comes under the medieval architecture category. Then, after the medieval period, who we refer as the modern, so British time. So Britishers, when they came to India, so they introduced their own style of architecture. So in the beginning, Britishers were introducing Indo-Gothic architecture, Indo-Gothic art, and then next they introduced Neo-Roman art. So these all kind of architecture or art forms you need to read in the art and culture syllabus. So this is the list of the topics that you need to read in the art and culture. Okay? So that you need to read in the art and culture. Then religion and philosophy also I will include. That would be the part of though religion, particularly Buddhism, Jainism, and then some philosophies of that time, though it's a part over there in the ancient history itself. But whenever you join the course, so in whichever coaching, I I'm not prescribing you this thing, but whenever you decide to join the course at any place, so generally that part of religion and philosophy is covered over there in the art and culture. So let me mention that also. So one more part in art and culture you need to read, that is religion and philosophy. And very importantly in this religion and philosophy is Buddhism and Jainism. So Buddhism and Jainism are the most important. In fact, you will not come across a single paper of the UPSC in last 15 years where there was no question from the Buddhism. In fact, this is if UPSC examination is a fact, if UPSC conducted exam, even in the pandemic scenario, so it is also true that whenever the UPSC exam will happen, there would be a question from the Buddhism. So such is the importance of this topic, that Buddhism. So Buddhism, religion and the philosophy. So in philosophy part, you will be reading those philosophies like Sankhya, Yoga, Nyaya, Vaisesika, Mimamsa, Vedanta. So these philosophies would be covered over here, including Charvak and Ajivika. So this is the part of the syllabus of the art and culture. So now, since already that it's 3 o'clock 53 minutes, so I will be discussing the reference material with you guys. Okay? So let's begin with the reference material. So reference book. So this is, and so period of some questions are there. So your questions will be replied by the team, and hopefully by next time, after March, hopefully after March, when the pandemic situation is ameliorated, so hopefully after that point of time, whenever any session happens, so there would be face-to-face interaction. So we can address your questions there also. So reference book, then reference book. So I have come up with the pictures also of these all books that you need to see or that you need to refer. Then, so first of all, modern Indian history. So modern Indian history, what I'm prescribing to you, that see, this is optional. These two books, this is not something which I am strongly prescribing, but it is optional to you. Then, so just look at this very first one, very first book, that Modern India, Arjun Dev, Old Class 8th NCRT. So this NCRT is in fact one of the best NCRTs available in the market. It's an old NCRT written by Arjun Dev and Class 8th NCRT. So let me show you the image of this NCRT. So this is the one. This is the image. I hope it is visible to you. Then, so it is visible to you. So you can search on many online commercial platforms also. This is available. Then I'm not naming these online commercial platforms that, for example, that you know it. So social sciences part 1, it is mentioned as social sciences part 1, Modern India, a history textbook for class 8. So with this image, if you find on any such commercial platform, that online platform, so you can buy this book from there. Hardly it will be, I think that 100 rupees or 120 rupees. So in fact, this is the good book, best book, in my opinion, for starting the preparation of the modern Indian history. So this you can go with. Then apart from this, medieval India. So medieval India, again, this is a Satish Chandra NCRT. So this is a Satish Chandra NCRT of class 11th. So I'm writing here the name of the writer, Satish Chandra, old NCRT of class 11th. So Satish Chandra, old NCRT of class 11th. You can start your preparation with this NCRT. It's near about 250 pages. So, but the font is big. So you can start your medieval preparation from this book. Modern from Arjun Dev, class 8th NCRT. Medieval from this class 11th NCRT, written by Satish Chandra, you can start with. Then ancient India. So ancient India, here, it is also class 11th old NCRT, written by Arya Sharma. So written by Arya Sharma. So Ram Sharan Sharma. So it is written by जनरली मार्केट में लोग क्या बोलते हैं, आर एस शर्मा, डन. सो बट फुल नेम इज राम शरद शर्मा. So you can go with this book. This is one of the best books, not only for the ancient history but also art and culture. Remember, in the very beginning of the class I mentioned that ancient and medieval, if you're reading, so you are also reading at the same point of time art and culture of that time. So not only the political, social and cultural, religious history you are reading, but you are also reading the cultural history of that time. So this is equally good for the art and culture and ancient and medieval, both the NCERT, medieval and this ancient one. So this you need to refer. Now I'll tell you a few more books related to the modern Indian history. देखो ancient medieval में art and culture में बहुत कुछ नहीं खरीदना है. You don't need to buy so many books. So let's look at the next book. This is optional to you. If you are buying, listen, if you are reading the class 8th Arjun Dev, so please don't go with this NCERT. But if you want to read this book, so don't read Arjun Dev. तो दोनों में से कोई एक पढ़ना. Either Arjun Dev or this NCERT of class 12th, old NCERT of modern India, written by Bipin Chandra. So written by Bipin Chandra. But since modern is a very important subject, in fact, out of all the portions in the history that not only I am covering but others are also covering, the most important is the modern. So these books would be helpful, not in the prelims but mains examination, but in modern, in my opinion, you will have to do some value addition from the standard books available in the market. And I'll show you one of the favorite book of mine. I know that most of you must be aware with the some other guidebooks which are available in the market, like the Spectrum, like the TMH publication, Pearson publication. So I don't feel too good with these all books, but the favorite book, which is the original book, and definitely that will help you not only in the modern Indian history, but also in the answer writing. It will help you in developing your language, in your expression, and how to write answers. So it's not just the book of the modern Indian history, but it is also the book which will give you insight that what kind of language is required in this examination, how you will be expressing yourself in this exam. So please read this book, and since you guys are going to prepare for the 2022, so this is the best time to start with this book. So let me show you this book. So this book is this one, India's Struggle for Independence. This is sorry. So this is the original book written by Bipin Chandra, मृदुला मुखर्जी, आदित्य मुखर्जी और सुचिता महाजन. सो दैट्स व्हाई आई एम सेइंग यू, वो एनसीईआरटी वाली जो बिपिन चंद्रा है ना, उसको मत पढ़ना, वो छोड़ दो, ठीक है. एनसीईआरटी बिपिन चंद्रा यू लीव, बट दिस पेंगुइन पब्लिकेशन बिपिन चंद्रा, this will help you a lot, not just history, but in fact it's your answer writing skill which gives you scope to fetch extra marks then. So that kind of help you'll get from this book, and you start with this book. Though the book seems to be little bulky, that original chapters which are there in this book, that in the beginning it was just a 527 pages book, but nowadays they have increased the number of the pages, they have included some more parts. So just stick to those chapters which are related to, associated with freedom struggle. Don't read the post-independence from the book or other chapters, but first 39 chapters, let me tell you, first 39 chapters of this book you read, and it seems like a novel. Then the story flows then. So the way it has been written, there is a flow in the book. So you will not feel like that there is so much of pressure on your mind, that so much of information is going. In fact, it will seem to you that you are reading a story. So that way it helps. And moreover, often people get confused that story hai to isse kya puchega. No, it's the story which helps you in remembering the facts, and moreover, it's equally good for the prelims examination. It doesn't matter that what way it is written, in story format or in fact format, it helps you a lot in the prelims examination also, and in the mains examination also, and moreover answer writing also. So this book is my recommendation. And one final book which I'll tell you specifically for art and culture, that is also an NCERT. So this NCERT was released in 2011 by NCERT, and it's the only NCERT of art and culture which is available. So please look at the image of this NCERT. So, Introduction to Indian Art. Part 1. So Introduction to Indian Art Part 1, textbook in Fine Arts for class 11th. ये खरीद लो, इसको पढ़ लो, and then those NCRTs you read, that would be much more than enough for the preparation. And please don't buy any such big guidebooks from the market. It will unnecessarily burden your preparation. Then, so it will unnecessarily burden your preparation, and please go with this all books list. And I hope that it would be available, that since this video would be on YouTube. So whenever if you are not able to write down, so you can refer back to this book and start your preparation with this. So with this note, I would like to end the session, today's session. And hopefully you must have got some good information or some relevant information then from the session. And I am very hopeful that many of you who are online right now, who are watching, you must be joining us then. So with these notes, I will thank you all from bottom of my heart for this participation and for your viewership. So thank you and all the best for your exams, and not just exam, for your life. Exam is just one part of the life. Then you need to be very happy, and you must be very happy. So all the best for your life and this exam. Thank you.